And we are live.
What's up? Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. Everyone else can hear you.
Perfect.
Normally, I don't do streams on a short notice, but considering there's something that is concerning my comrade here, who's seeing the treatment of Dr. Abraham Weisfeld by the fascist state of Canada. It's amazing how this is not being talked about, despite blatant anti-Semitism being out in display openly.
Okay, so right away in the first video, no, he starts off with a really good introduction and explaining what's going on and everything like that. Then three Zionist women show up and say that he has no right to be there. I think it's right to the next video or something, or maybe the video after that. This guy comes up and accuses him of talking to his underage daughter and says, I'm going to call the police. No police show up or anything like that so far, as you go down through it. But it's just what concerns me is Dr. Weisfeld doesn't seem to be bringing any protection with him. And so the very least I would ask is that this playlist be made viral. I don't think that enough people are paying attention to the significance around this.
No, because he's a second-generation Holocaust survivor, and he's being harassed and threatened, while actual Nazis are being protected by the law. And the irony at a Holocaust museum of all places.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm not sure how to describe the frustration I have towards all of this, because what is funny that's pointed out, and he points out quite correctly, is that he gets better feedback from the Russian Jews but not the Ukrainian Jews. Now, I'm not saying that Putin and the Russian war machine should have gone into the Ukraine, but I'm just going to be realized. I don't really care too much about Ukrainian culture. The Ukrainians that I care about are the anarchists, but nobody cares about them. No, we're going to support the Azov neo-Nazi battalion. I don't know if you know this, but in the Canadian Parliament, they gave support to this Ukrainian supposed war hero who fought the communists in World War II. Now, who were the communists fighting in World War II? They were fighting the Nazis. The Ukraine was in support of the Nazis.
Something that liberals conveniently leave out.
It's kind of funny also that the Azov Battalion is in support of the state of Israel and in support of the genocide that's happening to Gaza right now, as we speak. It's like nothing's ever changed. The Nazis and the Zionists are still buddy-buddy. Nothing has ever changed.
That is true. The more I learn about Canada, the more it's like, God, this country is more anti-Semitic than the United States.
I'm not sure if that's accurate, but I'm starting to wonder, how can you justify, supporting a basically a Nazi vet who's fighting against the communists? I mean, one thing that I would warn people about: don't buy this nonsense about Stalin, causing a famine in the Ukraine. I have some critiques of Stalin, but what I don't is when people lie about Stalin. How the heck did Stalin cause a heat wave in the Ukraine? How did that happen? How could he do that? Stalin just becomes more and more powerful the more and more propaganda is used against him, and it's really just a way of shielding, fascism.
Yeah. That, to be honest, there's a lot I want to say about Ukraine and Ukrainians, but I don't know if it's advisable as a communist to say such a thing. because I'm just gonna say it. Fuck it. Because if I'm dishonest, I'm gonna be given shit for it anyway. Fuck Ukrainians and fuck Ukraine. That doesn't mean I support fucking Putin or anything. But the kind of people that support Ukrainians are the same kind of people that fucking support a fucking Nazi that wiped, like, don't even give a damn about the Jewish community that this hero of theirs destroyed.
I just ask that people make this playlist viral. Like, if you have Facebook, share it on Facebook. If you're on Twitter, I think it's now called X, share it on X. Whatever mediums you have, because this isn't being paid. I don't think people are paying attention to this to the extent that it should be paid attention to.
Has the Jewish community even recovered in Ukraine? Because I don't think it has.
Jewish people were killed in the Ukraine in World War II. Like it did happen, and I don't have words for this. I just would like it, like I said, if people would actually just share this playlist. There's he does get support, but right at the beginning, he automatically gets harassment. The attacks that these Zionists are doing, they do seem coordinated. Like it's send in the first row and then send in the second row, and he's attracting the Zionists to him, which I guess is part of the point, except that there's hostility. If you go back to a previous playlist, he was harassed by some Christian woman who, I can't place the accent, but she calls him a traitor. She's not Jewish herself. And it just goes to show how much it's actually the Western churches, particularly the Protestant ones mostly, and kind of the Mormons as well, that are actually in support of the state of Israel. More and more, Jewish people are coming out against Israel, and that was probably a given because, kind of with the internet, there's been a re-education of Jewish people about what Jewish religion and Jewish culture actually is, and how it has zero compatibility with the Zionist state.
Well, this is one reason I will never be a Christian and never will, because I don't see Christians denounce the heretics of their religion.
Well, I mean, they do, but that's more with the Oriental churches, particularly the Eastern Orthodox churches and the Oriental Orthodox churches. I mean,
I don't see it to the extent that Jewish and Muslims do it.
Well, that's because Jewish and Muslim are closer. We're closer, actually. I mean, both Jewish and Muslim is more closer to the Oriental churches, to be fair, but there is like when you get into Jewish practice is very similar to Muslim practice. Like a lot of the rituals are the same, and a lot of the outlooks on ethics are the same. This does overlap with the Eastern churches, but it's and I have a fuller analysis of that. But if you want to get technical, the Muslims are the children of Ishmael. The Jewish people were the children of Jacob, and the Christians are technically the children of Esau. And so if you understand the antagonism between Esau and Jacob, it makes sense.
Well, I'm just saying the reason why atheism is rising in the West is because Christians do not denounce the heretics. They refuse to do so. And those who do are a small minority. It's hard to respect Christianity, and I'm being honest with you, when you don't see them do that. I'd have more respect for Christianity as a religion if the Christians actually denounced their heretics. Like when I'm around a Jewish person or a Muslim, I know they're legit. I cannot know that for a Christian because most of them are not legit at all. They only like Christianity as an aesthetic. They don't really care about their religion within itself. I just feel like if we saw more people denouncing the Christian churches in the Western world, we would not have as many atheists in the Western world. because they'd have no reason to be an atheist. Because let's be honest, Christians are not don't make it pretty easy to be an atheist in the first world. They really do, because of how they come off. Like when you're in the global south, you don't have as much of a reason to be an atheist because you don't see this as often. Not saying there isn't corruption in the global south with anywhere, in any of the churches or mosque or what have you, but it's nowhere near to the extent that it is here. Because when people think of Christians, they think, oh, you mean though these people that refuse to pay taxes? Oh, you mean these extremists that protest in front of hospitals or who threaten to bomb clinics or who preach hate against LGBTQ people? Or you mean the people that abuse children, molest children, traffic children? I'm sorry, but Christianity is fucked in the West. It truly is. And I don't see that changing as long as the heretics are not called out or people actually saying no and putting their foot down or actually preaching true and legitimate Christianity. And I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I think with the Oriental churches, they feel a lot more marginalized. There's also that other problem with the Maronite politics, which tries to co-opt, them in places like Lebanon and Egypt. It doesn't always take, though, for what it's worth. But it's also shaking off a lot due to how many Christian Palestinians have lost so much now. In fact, honestly, among the Palestinians, it's the Christian Palestinians who have lost the most, I'd say. But all around, Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, Palestinians, are, they're being destroyed. I mean, technically, the Jewish Palestinians in Meir Sharim are a little bit safer, but the question is, how safe are they? They're consistently bombarded, consistently harassed. They keep putting up the Palestinian flags. The Palestinian flags keep being taken down. They keep putting them back up again. I mean, the state of Israel is mostly threatened by Meir Sharim because Meir Sharim completely predates the state of Israel. And these people in that community consider themselves Palestinians. They don't consider themselves Israeli at all. But, the funny thing about it is like this strange connection between, Ukraine and Israel, couldn't be more obvious, and yet, all this Russophobia is pumped out, and yes, it's true that Putin should not have invaded, Russia, but that was actually provoked by the United States. Like if Russia came and tried to build like a base or tried to invade Mexico, the United States would retaliate immediately. So like we can't act like this stuff wasn't provoked, but like this all is connected in some way, and it's putting us on the verge of World War III. And I don't see World War III being a class war, to be honest. I don't see that. I see it being a war of states, and that's what I'm most concerned with. But again, like the real point.
I don't agree with that. I think it could. I think it could lead to a class war.
I would hope it would.
Because I think the contradictions are going to mount up. There's just no way it won't.
The problem I see is ultra-nationalism is way more potent these days, and I'm concerned with that. Like like a lot of people, yes, find ultra-nationalism distasteful, but not enough people are pointing at that as the problem. Like, how many people in the United States are pointing at Christian nationalism as a full-fledged white supremacist movement, which is what it is? How many people point it out for that being the danger? No, Antifa's the danger. Trans people are the danger. Russians are the danger. Mexicans are the danger, not the Christian nationalists. I mean, like
those who are. No, I know you may not want to hear this, Nut, but those who are pushing that are atheists. They're the ones that are sounding the alarm, and trans people.
Well, I mean, I don't doubt that atheists would be disturbed by this. Like, why would I be disturbed?
I'm talking about the atheists who actually did not fall into the reactionary red pill culture.
I don't think most atheists do, actually. I don't think most atheists subscribe to ideological atheism or the new atheist wave. I think most atheists are either irreligious without a religion, or they're still in their religion, they just happen to be atheists. I think most atheists are just typical people. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this, actually.
Well, I'm just bringing up because they've been sounding the alarm for years about the dangers of Christian nationalism.
But not just agnostics have too, and not just agnostics and atheists, but like other marginalized groups have been trying to sound the alarm about this. You don't hear the louder voices, and this is the funny. They often say that, well, these are not loud, but in the case of those atheists you mentioned, yes, they're loud enough, but they're censored because the new atheists have to represent the atheists as a whole these days. Even though,
the new atheists have
they've never been more unpopular. Funny enough,
the new atheists have discredited atheists as a whole. Most atheists don't even go by the atheist label at all because of them. And this sounds like conspiracy theory thinking, but I believe the new atheists were co-opted. I believe they were used as a way to discredit like any movement that was associated with atheists. I mean, they are useful. I mean, the likes of Sam Harris, Dawkins, and Christopher Hitchens are fucking hardcore Zionists.
They also seem to be the ones that sparked up atheism. Like a lot of atheists won't say they're into atheism because that doesn't make sense. Like, why do you have an ideology about a stance? Being atheist is a stance. It means you don't believe in the supernatural, you don't believe in divinity, yada yada. But atheism, like, why do you have an ism for it? Like, and atheism is kept alive by the new atheists. But the problem with that is, like I said before, the contradiction is at the same time the new atheists have never been lesser of a number of people, and yet they are the ones with the microphone for some reason.
Well, they don't. People don't really pay attention to them these days. They've actually lost all credibility.
I hope so, because a lot of them, use their own atheism, to get other people involved to say that this is an excuse for Islamophobia.
Well, most of them have been completely discredited. Most atheists that are worth their shit don't even associate with them at all.
Yeah, but most atheists don't get the platform they need.
No, they don't. The good atheists. I mean, there is a good atheist channel called Dark Matter, even though they are extremely anti-religion. But they did talk about in one of their videos that their goal wasn't to get people to stop being religious, but the people to rethink their religion. And Christianity as a whole, is dying in this country. People are leaving I think Donald Trump has driven a lot of people away from Christianity as a whole, because people that were Christian, they didn't feel safe in their churches anymore because they wanted to go to a church to as their place of worship and just to be with a community, but it became a Trump cult place to go to.
Well, I mean, you want to know the psychology behind that actually is? The psychology behind most of that has nothing to do with Jesus of Nazareth or anything. It has to do with homophobia. Let's be real about this. That's what it is. You can do anything you want as long as you say some sinner's prayer and believe in the name of Jesus. Just don't be gay. Don't be gay. And that's pretty much what it is. And for them, gay also translates as well into trans.
But nothing in the Bible says anything about homosexuality or being trans.
Well, I mean, kind of yes and no. Like in the Jewish scriptures, there's tribal verses, which are exclusively tribal, which, and as far as and in the Gospels, if we go by the Christian Bible, don't really mention it at all. And Paul gives very vague references that to this day nobody knows what the hell he was talking about. So there's that technically. Well,
even if it was, we live in the 21st century. And there's no reason to it's just used as an excuse to attack a marginalized group.
Well, no, that's kind of what I mean. It's an excuse, pretty much. It's an excuse. Like, why be homophobic? Why? Because God. Okay, can you prove that God said this? No, but he said it anyway. Circular logic, basically.
it's fucking bullshit. It's like, I'm not saying there isn't homophobia in the other religious groups. I'm not saying that, but none of them are as loud as Christians.
It is more or less an Abrahamic thing, which really comes from, Jewish tribal logic and only Jewish tribal logic. I mean, it sort of translates into Christianity and Islam, but like I would also point out, the mere fact that Jewish people, or the greater majority of us, don't buy into this should mean that, to be honest, Christians and Muslims should also drop it too, like for real. There's also the fact that if you talk about like the context of God or divinity or whatever, the pronoun, the Hebrew pronoun he is masculine, but it's also gender neutral and gender plural. And the Hebrew word for he is who, which is also, by the way, the Hebrew equivalent of the Sanskrit term om. But and then if you get into the first man made male and female, Adam and Lilith, Lilith's pronouns were he, him, actually. A lot of people don't know that. She, her actually starts with Eve. The validity behind that is not just the folklore that we have, but the validity behind that is that man is actually created twice. So on the sixth day, man is created both male and female. It says man's created both male and female. Then it talks about the creation of Adam, and then Adam being alone, and that from aside, people think it's rib, but in Hebrew it actually says aside from Adam, and woman is created, which actually implies that woman was a dream. And this gets in the whole factor that actually largely a great section of the book of Genesis can only be understood esoterically instead of literally, especially because if when you get into Adam and Eve leaving the Garden of Eden, they leave the gates of, it does talk about them literally leaving the gates of Eden, and it talks about cherubs with flaming swords. Well, what is a cherub? It's not a baby with wings. A cherub is a bull with a human head and wings, actually. What does that sound like to me? That sounds like the Ishtar Gate in Babylon. And that is that's not ancient aliens. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's the actual context in which Bereshit or Genesis is written in.
Ancient aliens is fucking bullshit. I mean, my God.
I'm not saying that there aren't space aliens. I personally believe that there are space aliens,
yeah,
but that has nothing to do with.
I just see I just see ancient aliens. That fucking theory is just a way to try to find a way to take away the achievements of the Africans. Because
I would agree with that.
There's no way these people in Africa could have designed these pyramids. Like, well, actually, yes. And you know what? They were smarter than your ancestors. Cope and see, bitch. They've lasted longer than any of your civilizations.
Yeah, but everybody who I can see, I checked out there. It seems that we have an audience here. I'm really like, if you go into the description here of Jordan's video, which is live currently at this time until it's done, it won't be live after that. But like, please make this playlist viral because the man is coming without protection. He's been doing this for like ever, and he's getting good feedback, but he's also getting like hostilities, and the hostilities are getting worse, and it does look coordinated to me because it's often the same people that are coming by, but like sometimes there's new faces and stuff. And yes, he's getting like good feedback too, but like it's getting more aggressive. This guy literally says just arbitrarily that you were talking to my underage daughter or something like that. I'm like no, like how, like, he's like, I'm not going to call the police. It's like it's getting more aggressive. Like I said, a different playlist. You see this Christian woman come up and attack him because he's a traitor to his country or something, even though he's a citizen of Canada. But okay, it's like I really, really, really would like this playlist in the description made viral. Like I can't like just ask everybody in the world, so that's why I came to you for it, because like I really think more attention needs to be on this.
Well, for those of you who have a Twitter, unfortunately, if you still have a Twitter, share this.
I don't know why, but it's called X now, not Twitter anymore.
I'm calling it fucking Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk. I'm calling it Twitter. No, fuck that whitey fucking piece of shit. That fucker had the audacity to call himself an African.
Are you serious?
Yes.
I missed this. When did this happen?
Years ago. It's like he had the audacity to call him a fucking African. It's like, you're not fucking black. You're fucking white. You're white as fuck, bitch. Go. Oh god, I hate Elon Musk. I hate the cult surrounding him. If I could, if he is probably the biggest parasite that I could think of on the top of my head. There's worse people, obviously, but like the fucking worship behind this talentless fucking parasite. He has never done anything of worth in his life. He's never created anything of his own. He leeches off the fucking geniuses of other people and takes credit for things that other people have made. He's a fucking idiot. You're gonna drop this dumbass in the middle of the ocean with no fucking resources, and fucking die within a few hours.
You know, Elon Musk has technically learned from Donald Trump, if you think of it, because like it seems like he's master branding. Like Elon Musk is only popular because he's Elon Musk. No special talent there. He's just Elon Musk.
He would run for president if he was able to.
Oh God. That's
actually, give enough time, and they might find some ways around the Constitution where you don't have to, where as long as you're a resident of the United States, you could run for president. I'm pretty sure they'll find a way around
it. This is. I mean, we're in terrifying times right now because, like, okay, so if Biden gets a second term, he's gonna double down on all the genocidal shit he's doing. If Trump gets in office, he's gonna pretty much do the same thing. I mean, he's Trump. If you've watched any of his stuff, he's literally talking about like race purity and stuff, and wiping out Palestine. So there is no vote to have. Like there should just be a boycott of the vote. Like Americanism needs to go down with Zionism. Quite literally, it needs to go down with them. Like all colonialism should go down, but if we're focusing on Palestine, Americanism needs to go down right there with Palestine. It needs to both go down, and Canada needs to be just once and for all discredited. I mean, the Parliament literally, gave ovation to a freaking Nazi war criminal, pretty much. I mean, he was a veteran. Let's say a Ukrainian veteran, and they were cheering him because he fought communism in World War II. Well, gee, who were the communists fighting in World War II? The Nazis. I mean, I'm very disturbed that Dr. Weisfeld doesn't have more Jewish people with him in the protest. He should. He had some people with him, and I understand exactly why he couldn't keep them with him. And I don't want to get into that. I don't even know if I would have the right to explain that whole mess. But he's by himself. He's unprotected. I mean, the man's got fucking guts, though. I gotta say that he's got guts. But I can never pronounce your name. Konethius. Yes, I have heard of Yiddish. Of course, I've heard of Yiddish. Yiddish is not my native language, but I do think that Yiddish is the universal Jewish language, because just personally speaking, my language would have been Ladino if I had been taught it properly. I still am learning it, but Ladino I think is more of a poetic language, especially because Yiddish can actually be resurrected, especially since I believe it was called Yeshivish. The actual Jewish language was disappeared pretty much after the Holocaust. And when you get into the Jewish languages, the actual Jewish languages are Yiddish, Ladino, also known as Judo-Spanish, Judo-Arabic, and by the way, Russian. That's one of the Jewish languages, is Russian. Hebrew is a holy language. It's not our actual language. In fact, we never actually spoke Hebrew. We spoke Aramaic. Hebrew was always liturgical. The roots of Hebrew are Phoenician and Canaanite. And Dr. Weisfeld would actually, I think that he said similar stuff. But everybody should. There's a link in the description to this playlist. Please, whatever platforms you have, whatever ways you can do it, please make this viral. Because if he's not going to be going to bring physical protection, he should at the very least, it should be known what he's doing. This is intense stuff, and the Zionists are only getting more aggressive with him. Like, it's actually kind of scary. Like, I mean, he's not scared, I will say that, but at the same time, like, they're just getting more volatile. I mean, it's good to see that he's getting more positive feedback too, but that doesn't change the fact that the Zionists are only getting more aggressive. Like in one of the very first videos in this playlist, this guy literally says, "I'm going to call the police because you were talking to my underage daughter." Like, I don't know if this is a claim or if he just said hi to a person, you know, like, so if I say hi to a person and I don't know what the person's age is, am I doing something? Am I violating some law? I mean, this is scary shit. Meanwhile, you know, in Florida, you know, trans and queer teenagers are pretty much screwed. They're pretty much criminalized for existing. Oh, and Texas too. Don't forget freaking Texas.
Oh, in Florida, it's actually legal to do Holocaust denial.
Fucking Christ. Sorry, no offense to any legit Christians, but like, fucking Christ. Hey, I'm Jewish, I can say it. Fuck it.
But seriously, it's like, it seems like the people that are the most anti-Semitic are those who support Ukraine. I know that's like ridiculous to say that, but it's interesting.
I really am tired of hearing about Ukrainians. Look, the Ukrainians I care about is something called, you can look it up, Revdia. Revdia. They are anarchists, and they are actually the real people you should be supporting Ukraine. If you don't want to support Russia, which you really shouldn't in this case, honestly, then support Revdia. Like, those are the revolutionaries in Ukraine. The Azov Battalion are literally neo-Nazis.
It's just hard not to. You see all the footage of Ukraine. I've seen a good amount of Ukrainians like casually like doing like, you know, anti-Semitic like reenactments of what happened in World War II. It's like, it's hard for me not to fucking look at, not giving a two shits about Ukraine. It's like, there's people in America that fucking desperately need fucking healthcare and food and a roof over their head. Our fucking roads are falling apart. And I mean literally. I'm in fucking Orange fucking County. There's the fucking roads are barely holding themselves together. And those of you who live in California will know what I'm talking about. Fucking the cost of living is fucking going up and up and up and up, and it's showing no signs of going up, with wages not be able to keep up. Yet we're fucking supposed to give a shit about these Nazis in Ukraine.
I don't.
Why the fuck should I care?
Again, I care about the anarchists in Ukraine. That's who I care about over there. Rev Dia. You can look them up. They're an actual anarchist group. Rev Dia. I mean,
as someone that's fucking poor as fuck, why the fuck should I care about Ukraine? I'm just speaking really. Most Ukrainians are racist. They support the fucking Israel. They supported whatever the hell that fucking guy that killed George Floyd. They were on the side of the fucking fascist police in America. It's like, why the fuck should I care? Not to mention the way they treated African students in Ukraine who were trying to flee a war zone. Oh, but it's not majority of the population. I'm sorry, but enough of the population of Ukraine who treats like non-white people and Jewish people as subhuman. Why the fuck should I fucking look at them as anything with anything but contempt? Fuck them. They're white. They're fucking white.
Well, no, yeah, that their only culture is whiteness, you know, and their language isn't very organic to begin with, you know, and I'm getting sick and tired of, like, you know, people acting as if, oh, like the Ukrainians, you know, like they have a culture. Like, what culture? What culture? Like, their language is just a derivative language anyway. And no, I don't typically say that, and I shouldn't say that, except that it's not like all nationalities are being treated equal under a proper federation. If they were, maybe I'd sing a different tune. But they don't give a fuck about Jewish people, which we completely predate Ukrainians. The Polish predate them. Sorry, I don't recognize Ukraine. I don't recognize their nationality. I don't care. Like, if they have any legitimacy to them, they should stop being fascist and stop, because what culture do they have other than whiteness? It's like the projection, like you see, like Adolf Hitler had claimed that the Jewish people had no culture of their own. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself is what I say. Like, what is German culture? Charlemagne? Like, really?
I actually think Germany got off too easy in World War II.
They did get off too easy. And, I'm afraid that Israel's going to get off too easy. There should be a de-Zionification of that region. Israel should cease to exist as a country. If there is a distinct new culture of Hebrews, fine, but they don't have a right to call themselves Israelis. And they should kind of be dispersed throughout the Arab countries, which would make them more cultured. The fact is, there's Jewish Palestinians, which are there, that predate the state of Israel. They predate it. It's called Meir Sharim. They predate the state of Israel. It was founded in either 1870 or 1873. These ultra-Orthodox Jewish people came to Palestine. They were welcomed and immediately embraced, and they're recognized by Palestinians as Palestinians, and they identify as Palestinians, not Israeli. There's no reason for the state of Israel's existence. In fact, that is a very contradiction to Jewish nationality. Jewish nationality is based on culture and religion, a cultural, religious, fraternal pact between people. It has nothing to do with land, actually. In fact, the whole concept of the Promised Land was for refuge. We were the way it goes is that we were custodians of the Holy Land, and we ceased to be custodians of the Holy Land for not upholding the Torah. I mean, there was this in one of these playlists with Dr. Weisfeld. He's confronted by this confused Zionist child, basically, who says, "How can you say that we can't be with the state of Israel when our whole culture is based on, our whole nationality is based on Israel?" And I got so angry. It's like, no, our whole culture and nationality is based on the Torah, not some country. First of all, the country known as Israel split into two sections, Judah and Israel. And the first one to be invaded was Israel by the Assyrians. It was Judah that remained. And then when Judah was exiled by the Babylonians, or more accurately the Chaldeans, when it was restored as Judea by the Persians, yes, to this day, Iran is like probably the most solid with Jewish people, despite the hatred despite what we're told to hate about them. It's actually legitimately like the safest country in the world for Jewish observant people is Iran to this day. And I'm keeping in that subject. There's other things that could be said about Iran, but that's not the point. But like, it's just everything. If you look at Zionism, it's quite literally turns everything about what is Jewish on its head. So we're not supposed to be aggressors. It's not true that we're exactly nonviolent. That's mostly an Ashkenazi thing. I'm Sephardi myself. I don't really sing to that order. But to be honest, though, we're not fighters. It's not that we don't believe in self-defense. We're not fighters. We're non-aggressive by nature. We're not fighters. We don't believe in provocation. Starting conflict without provocation, which is exactly what the state of Israel is about. Zionism is about starting conflict without provocation. It is literally the opposite. It's like this, okay? Theologically, Amalek would be the state of Israel. So when Netanyahu's calling Hamas, Amalek, that's fucking rich right there. Amalek would be the state of Israel, not Hamas. And regardless of what people think of Hamas, you have to understand the majority of Gazans do support Hamas because the PLO, in their eyes, failed them. And if people don't want like nationalist theocratic groups, existing, then maybe I don't know, maybe you shouldn't back things like the Oslo Accords. The Oslo Accords was never legitimate. It was always about just taking from Palestine. There can be no peace with the state of Israel. There can be no two-state solution. I'm not really for the one-state Palestine thing because I think that's flawed. I actually agree with Dr. Weisfeld on the federation thing, but I'm more tolerant to the idea of a one-state Palestinian. I'm more tolerant to that than I am a two-state solution or one-state Israel. Like, there should be no one-state Israel and there should be no two-state solution. I guess I could deal with in my mind the idea of one Palestinian state, but I think the federation concept that Dr. Weisfeld has is a lot better.
Fuck the two-state solution. It's like, why anyone that even that's as So we basically give Israel everything, while Palestinians still have fucking nothing.
Well, that's part of what I tried to say before. We've been seeing the two-state solution in motion the whole time. Like, it was never going to be anything but, okay, what we see with the state of Israel and what they're doing to Gaza was always inevitable. It was always inevitable. Like, what we are seeing the end game of the Zionists in motion right now. The very fact that there's a media blackout on Neturei Karta, and by the way, whether you like it or not, if you believe in the Mizora, which by the way is the continuing transmission of the Torah, then the only group that has that is Neturei Karta and their affiliates, which include everybody in Meir Sharim and every other radical ultra-Orthodox sect of Jewish people. Okay, that means that's our equivalent of Pope. If you are against Neturei Karta, you're against the Torah. Period. Now, if you believe in the paradigm shift like I do in the concept of Jewish renewal, that's a different topic altogether. But there's no reason why you can't synthesize the paradigm shift with the Mizora. But the point I'm making here is that so Dr. Weisfeld, for instance, he points out that the prophet Samuel had warned the Israelites that having a king will lead to ruin. Now, I don't think that a king necessarily is always a monarch, because like kings, I think that gets in a whole different concept. However, perhaps the problem of the king is that they will become a monarch, which the kings of Israel did become monarchs. After Solomon, each king got more progressively worse. Sometimes you would have a better one, but you ended up with terrible taxation, going to war against other countries, which completely negated the whole point of being the custodians of land. And see, that is the main reason. I mean, the Talmud gives this reason that, baseless hatred, among Jewish people versus Jewish people had to do with it. But that's true, I would say, because I do believe that, and that is more of a theological opinion, I suppose. So I do agree with it, but I think it's deeper than that. I think it's that we failed to be proper custodians. And because of that, we were kicked out of that land. And that was proper, because custodians of the Holy Land did not mean creating some sovereignty that is there forever and damn everybody else who disagrees with it. That itself negates that's a contradiction to the Torah right there.
I will not fucking have a dialogue with Republicans any more than I will have a dialogue with Democrats. None of them give a fuck about climate change. If they truly cared about climate change, they would fucking be against capitalism. They'd be for tearing down the system that fucking makes climate change possible. Do you think fucking Biden's gonna fucking do a goddamn thing about climate change? If anything, he's fucking accelerated it in his fucking 4-year fucking term. He has done jack and shit about climate change. We're like 1 quarter through the year already, and nothing, and we're like almost halfway through the decade already, and nothing has been done about fucking climate change. Don't give me that fucking bullshit. The Democrats are just as fascist as the Republicans. It is the Republicans are more honest about it. Have you fucking heard Joe Biden, how he speaks about fucking the border?
He didn't stop the overturning of Roe versus Wade. He didn't stop the fascism that is in Florida and Texas. Fuck him. Like, really, yeah. Fuck him.
Not to mention fucking all the fucking laws that have been passing against LGBTQ people happened under Biden. The genocide that's going on in Gaza happened under Biden. The war in Europe happened under Biden. Don't give me that fucking liberal horse shit. I'm not a fucking liberal, and there's nothing more insulting than to even call me that. I'm not a fucking liberal. I'm a fucking communist. Damn it! That doesn't work with me.
I am sure letting Dr. Weisfeld know that we are really trying to make this playlist viral. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is starting to piss me off more and more I see it. Like, I do watch these playlists because he always wants me to watch these playlists, and I should, and I do. It's just getting more and more hard for me not to get very angry because, like, the Zionists are getting more aggressive on him. And the man will fight. He can fight. I do want to say that he can fight. I've always been sort of envious on him that because I will fight if I have to, but everybody knows that, unfortunately, Net here will get his ass handed to him. I mean, I'll fight because I'm not a coward, but I always lose typically. This man can fight, but he like pretty much everybody who's truly Jewish, he's very non-aggressive. So like he has a defensive posture about it rather than an offensive posture. Good for him. But he's very much not armed here in this conflict with these Zionists coming to him. And the only defense I think we can offer him is make this shit viral. Share this with everybody. This is ridiculous. I don't know how many times I have to scream at the top of my lungs, this man deserves the freaking coverage. And I'll tell you why they don't give him the coverage. Because he's a Bundist. He's a Bundist like me. Nobody fucking wants to hear the Bundist because, you know, we tend to embarrass, no offense, Jordan, we tend to embarrass, you know, Marxists and anarchists. No offense. You know, even though we're not against you, we're not even against you.
I'm a communist, not a Marxist.
You know, that's how you can tell someone's a third worldist. That's also why you can tell red pagans are third worldists, because you can always tell third worldists by those patterns. I'm a communist, not a Marxist. Or as she says, I'm a Marxist-Leninist and I'm a Maoist third worldist. There's always those patterns.
I focus on all of the entirety of America. All of it, not just DC. Joe Biden's the fucking president. He's the most powerful man on the planet. I don't want to fucking hear it. This is just bullshit. I don't want to fucking. I'm not going to be gaslighted into thinking, oh, the Republicans are bad, are worse than the Democrats. No, they're not. The Democrats are fucking worse. How many times do I have to quote fucking Malcolm X about the fucking fox and the wolf to get through your thick fucking skull? Why is it that black people are the only people that fucking can tell the difference between a Republican and Democrat? How it's basically a distinction without a difference. Why is it black people have been able to see this for almost a century and white fucking people still fucking can't? It fucking baffles my goddamn fucking mind. Black people were able to see this in the fucking 30s and 40s. Why are most white people almost a century behind?
White people are scared, okay? You want the truth? White people are scared. Falcone said this years ago. She said it so perfectly. White people are just fucking scared. Okay? They're just scared. They're scared of their own shadow. They're scared of their own shadow because it's not white like them. You see? Like, fuck. You know, like, and what is the worst part about whiteness is it's so artificial because from area to area, it's undetermined what is white. It's literally artificial nonsense. Blackness exists because there is an actual collection of people that for 400 years were being put into slavery. Not just 500 years ago, but for 400 years, they kept being put on the ships as slaves. You know? Black people are their own diaspora nation, because they're not just African. They're a particular type of nationality. We're talking about people who together were on ships and had their languages taken away from them and were forced to do the biddings of their white masters. You know, and it's not true that they had white saviors all the time. A lot of times they resisted. You know, like, I have my disagreements with Black Redguard, but you have to go no further than Black Redguard to learn about that. Being real about that shit. Like, go to Black Redguard's channel. Like, he has a lot of shit on that.
When it comes to Black history, stop fucking listening to white people. Listen to Black people about their own history. Never trust a white person when it comes to Black history. Never.
And support Black Jews, too. There are real Black Jews. I'm not talking about the fake Hebrew Israelites that worship Jesus. I mean actual Black Jews. Like my rabbi, Rabbi Yehuda Moshe, West African Jews of the diaspora. That's real stuff. That exists. Like you could look into the history of like West Africa, and yes, there's Muslims. Guess who else was there? Jewish people. We were there too. Some of us are Black. Now, I'm not Black. I'm a Jewish European. I will not call myself a Jewish American. That's an insult. That's a contradiction. Like, yeah, there could be Jewish French. There could even be Jewish German, but there cannot be Jewish American. That's like saying Jewish Roman. It doesn't fucking mix. All people who said that they were Jewish Roman, like, fuck Josephus. No offense. No offense.
Well, I don't think I'm not Jewish, but I don't think being a Jew and being an American is compatible because
it's not. And see, this is one of the reasons why I have more hope for Jewish Zoomers and even to some extent, even Jewish millennials. I mean, but what is a millennial other than a late stage Generation X and an early stage Zoomer? But whatever, semantics. there are a considerable amount of Jewish Generation X like myself who say fuck America, but not nearly enough. It's the Jewish Zoomers that are fucking done with it. Finally, I was marginalized by other Jewish people in my generation. I mean, well, technically, this is why it's easier just to say what I am. I'm also technically I am a second generation Holocaust survivor myself. Different story, very, very different than Dr. Weisfeld's, although there's parallels. It's one of the reasons why we get along so well. It's also kind of why, the cabin fever is too much. More Jewish people means me and Dr. Weisfeld will not be shouting at each other more. So solidarity to Andrew Like. But for real, like there's a crisis around this. Like I'm a Jewish European, but I'm Generation X, and most Jewish Generation X people in the United States still want to give America a chance. That's fading more, but that's why I look at the Jewish Zoomers a bit more, because they see, okay, Americanism and Zionism both need to go. When I was screaming this, I was told, no, you got to be loyal to your country. I'm like, okay, well, this land belongs to the natives, and and forget what Chabad says a Noahide is, because they don't know what a fucking Noahide is. Noahides are the people that follow these 7 laws of civilization, which guess who fits that descriptions? Native Americans and First Nations people. They literally fit the description of Noahides. And it's actually mentioned in the Talmud what classifies as a Noahide. Guess who qualifies that like nobody else? The Native American tribes and the First Nations tribes. Yeah. Oh, wow. So, yeah, no, my loyalty is to the Navajos, to the Hopis, to the Lakota, to the Cherokee, to the Dakota. That's where my loyalty is, not to fucking Whitey. Like, it's weird. Like this is a joke I used to say, but I think I should say it now, because I'm just tired of fucking watering down my language because of sensitive fucking white people. Like in my situation, a lot of us pass for white, like Jewish Europeans. We pass for white quite easily, but if we go to prison, like in Arizona, if we go to prison, unfortunately, black Gentiles, because there's black Jews as well. So Gentile means not Jewish, by the way. That's all it refers to. Black Gentiles will say, no, you're white. But then you go to the white people in the prison, no, you're Jewish. We're screwed. We're absolutely screwed. Like in that situation. And the inside joke that I have is like, we don't control the money. That's the biggest lie of all time. The most believed lie about the Jewish people is the most inaccurate, the most lacking in truth. And that's that we are all rich and we control the world's money. Actually, there's never been more poor Jewish people now than ever. And the Jewish proletariat in Canada and the United States is a lumpen proletariat, by the way. That's another thing that people don't get. But what it is traditionally we're the white man's accountant. And now the white man is losing his accountant because it's not that we control black people. That's not true. What it is that many of us have come to our senses like, you know what? Black people should fucking burn down this country. Because, yeah, there's black people who hate Jewish people, but there's also black Jewish people. And on top of it, they're less likely to hate us as hard. And then on top of it, many of them just don't hate us. There's a lot of black people that just don't hate us, whereas white people, almost all of them hate us in one way or another. Because, okay, they'll either hate you for what Israel's doing, or they'll hate you because you're not moving to Israel. Like, we can't win with them. And now it's coming out, now we're against Israel, and now it's coming out that, the Nazis actually support Israel. And think about it, it makes sense. The Nazis want Jewish people in Israel so they can bomb Israel. They don't care about Palestine. They never cared about Palestine. And don't get on this thing about, the Mufti met with Hitler. So fucking what? So fucking what? So fucking what? That doesn't mean a damn thing. What about the fact that Palestinians protected Jewish people that were running from the Nazis? What about that? Why is that never mentioned? It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, doing that is a form of Holocaust denial in a way, because that's basically shifting the blame from Europeans to Arabs.
Highlight Louis's comment, please. I'm an anarchist, not a liberal. Please. I love that.
Well, just think about it, Nat. This plays into Holocaust denial by them doing that.
Well, yeah, okay. Like, so if Dr. Weisfeld hears this, I'm sorry if I got the percentage wrong. 70% of the ghetto police, the Jewish ghetto police. So some background history for people who don't know this. The Nazis, as a way of corralling Jewish people in the ghettos, they had these ghetto police who were Jewish that they deputized, right? And here's the thing: they had a you know how the Nazis had the armband that was swastika. These guys had the armband that was a 6-point star. All right, and not like the one that you had to wear, like saying Jew on it, but like a literal proper 6-point star. 70% of them were, guess what? Zionists. And the Warsaw Uprising, okay, you hear about the Jewish partisans, were Bundists. They were Bundists. They were Bundists. Oh, and by the way, some of those Bundists are actually relatives of Dr. Weisfeld. Gee, maybe that's why Dr. Weisfeld isn't being paid. That's why he isn't just Ashkenazi. Because there's nothing wrong with being Ashkenazi, but a lot of people like overemphasize, oh, the Ashkenazi this, the Ashkenazi that. Well, the Polish Ashkenazim have a lot to bitch about, to be honest. They really do. They fought the Nazis. You know, so the Jewish partisans, they weren't Zionists. They were Bundists. They were Bundists. And because Dr. Weisfeld is part of that legacy, I believe that there is literal political discrimination going on against him, and I believe it's coordinated.
I didn't even know that Bundists existed until I met you, Nat. And I don't think that's an accident. I mean, I did not know until 4 years ago.
Well, I mean, okay. The thing about the Bund is not a political institution. It's non-religious by its definition. But the current Bund scares people even more because the current Bund is pro-religious. It's still non-religious because, you know, a lot of Jewish people just aren't observant necessarily. Like, there's no such thing as a Jewish person without Judaism, because there's 2 Judaisms for every Jewish person, okay? For every Jew, there's 2 Judaisms. There's the collective Judaism that you're part of, and then there's your personal Judaism. And your personal and this is an actual phenomena that exists with us. And then to top it off, okay, there's people who aren't Jewish but have Jewishness, all right? The Bund does seek to accommodate those people as well. So, for instance, there's quite a few Christians and Muslims who have Jewishness. To have Jewishness, you just need to merely be related to us. So if you're Jewish but you converted to another religion, technically you're not Jewish anymore, but you may still retain Jewishness. And that's okay. Mark Foster is a perfect example of that. He's Baha'i faith, but he was born Jewish, but he still has some Jewishness. The thing is, I had to explain that to him because he doesn't have what you call Yiddishkeit, but there's 2 ways to understand Yiddishkeit when you're speaking a language that's not Yiddish. Okay? Yiddishkeit, when you say it in Yiddish, you are saying Jewishness, but you're probably also saying particularly Ashkenazi Jewishness in speaking Yiddish. But when you say Yiddishkeit in English, you are talking about particular type of Jewishness. He has Jewishness, though, because he believes in Tikkun Olam, or Tikkun HaOlam, as he likes to say it. It's funny, because here's a funny thing for you. So Dr. Weisfeld, when he refers to King of the Universe, Melech HaOlam, he says Melech Olam. But it's typically Melech HaOlam. When you say Tikkun Olam, it's Tikkun Olam typically, but Mark Foster likes to say Tikkun HaOlam. It's just something I started to notice. It's actually quite interesting, like these little nuances, because it shows the same strand of consciousness, but in a different flavor. And this gets back to what I'm saying before. Like, everyone who's actually Jewish, we have a collective Judaism, but then there's their own personal Judaism. If I had to describe my personal Judaism, it would be Jewish esoteric mysticism. If I had to describe Dr. Weisfeld's personal Judaism, I would say it's basically, Jewish agnostic, Orthodox agnostic Judaism. That's the best way I can explain it. It's his own Judaism. But we all have, like, Judaism, you know, and Judaism, by the way, what counts as Judaism is Orthodox Judaism, Reform Judaism, Conservative Judaism, and Reconstructionist Judaism. There are, like, phases in between those, but like, humanistic Judaism is not Judaism. And I should make that clear. That's actually a Zionist front. But anyway, so Judaism itself, we all have Judaism collectively, but then we have our own personal Judaism. And then, like I said, there's Jewishness. Everyone who's Jewish has Jewishness, but not everybody who has Jewishness is Jewish themselves. So let's say, like, you were born from a non-Jewish mother, but your father was Jewish. you wouldn't necessarily count as Jewish, because to be Jewish, you either have to have been born from a Jewish mother or you converted to Orthodox Judaism. However, having a Jewish father is enough to have Jewishness. Okay? If you've spent a long time in a shtetl with a bunch of Jewish people and you spent a long time but you're not Jewish, it's highly likely you'll end up with Jewishness. Very unlikely that you won't. Okay, this happens to a lot of people in New York City, where they just spend so much time with Jewish people that they end up with Jewishness, that they are themselves not Jewish, but they end up with Jewishness. I highlight. I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce his name right. It's Conethius. Matriarch grandfather. Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, but like, and I'm working on a video right now to explain that in more detail. There's a lot of stuff I'm trying to do. I'm trying also to videotape the nitty gritty of the shit that I've seen in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm still testing the camera a bit more, but there are a lot of spots in Phoenix, Arizona I want to videotape. But I kind of am stressing out a bit because, like, Dr. Weisfeld's under pressure. I'm under pressure. We're having our back and forth, whatnot. But what is really pissing me off is, like, he's not getting the support he needs. This playlist, okay, in this description, in Dark Stovia's video here that we're speaking on right now, please spread this playlist, because this needs to be more covered. Because the best protection we can offer him is that he can be seen. He needs to be seen.
The more people that can see him, the better.
Yes. Like, it's I don't know what else much to say. I'm just really pissed off that this is still happening. That after all this time, and here's the thing, Bundes, we remain open to Marxists, communists, and anarchists, because we are socialists ourselves. You know, if we want to talk about and have little debates about, whatever, we'll do it. But
I don't know if he's watching this, but I'd like to give him an invitation. Comrade Confucius, if there ever is a time and that's convenient for you, I'd like to bring you on my channel to discuss socialism from a different perspective besides Marxism, because I think that it's arrogant to claim that Marxism is the only form of socialism, which is an attitude that a lot of Marxists tend to have. If you're watching this, I give you that invitation.
Hey, Louis, you're very similar to my son, the one people know as Corporal Cat. The pronouns are they, them, but alternatively he, him. Yeah, a lot of people, like, that was something we weren't really, I should say this before. It's not that we were hiding that because we were ashamed. It's because we were afraid that Arizona is going to go the way of Texas. But somehow it got out. And by the time it got out, Dark Stovia wanted to know if he could reference Corporal Cat as queer. I'm like, fuck it. People are figuring it out, so might as well. But you might. Oh, by the way, also, Louis, my son is an anarcho-Bundist, by the way. That's another thing. There's a such thing as Maoist Bundists, and there's also such thing as anarcho-Bundists. Bundism is a lot more diverse today than it was back in the old days. The Jewish Socialist Bund is way more advanced than the old Jewish Labor Bund was. Yeah. Highlight that. Louis is asking the question.
Yeah.
Yes. Corporal Cat, if you're aware of Corporal Cat, the anarcho-Buddhist, yeah, that is my son. We don't really speak to each other that much, and that's mostly no, that is completely my fault. I'll just be real with you. That's my fault. But, yeah.
Interesting lineup. Let's make it happen.
And anybody that knows me knows that I've hanged around anarchists for a long fucking time. I mean, I do get along with Marxist-Leninists and Marxist-Leninist Maoists. It's just that I think the third worldists are superior in this regard. No offense to all my ML and MLM friends out there. I just think that third worldism is a lot better. Because it keeps Maoism as the highest stage, but it goes beyond Marxism. It goes further than Marxism as a concept. Like, you can tell Dark Snowy is a real third worldist because he says, I'm a communist, not a Marxist. You could see the same with Red Pagan Nicole because she says, I'm a Marxist-Leninist, I'm a Maoist third worldist. Like, in that exact order of saying that. These patterns are very, very, very prominent around third worldists. Third worldists, you guys have a very particular way of speaking.
I watched Nicole's latest video as of this posting.
I did too.
And I can't help but agree with Nicole regarding, like, Americans having the attention span of a goldfish. Like, Aaron Burchnell, it's fucking shameful and disgusting how quickly he's been forgotten by the general population of Americans.
I'm disturbed by that.
I think I'm just going to say this. I have no sympathy for Americans. I almost think they deserve the fascist state that's coming to them because they're fucking too stupid and blind to realize they're like a frog being boiled alive. And by the time they fucking speak out and against it, it'll be fucking too late for most of the people. They'll only do it when it starts to affect them. Like, those who've spoke out about it from the very beginning were considered crazy or were considered not worth listening to. But then they'll go back to us when shit hits the fan. It's like, fuck you. It's like, I'm just gonna say this. It's like the same. It's the same thing with people. Like, I'm speaking. This is not completely off topic, but you guys remember the saga with the Fascist Cantina? For those of you who watched me back then, and how I was saying that the Phantom Menace were basically a fascist cult, and I was called crazy by most people, including fucking so-called progressives. And look what happened a few years later. After I said that, it was becoming an accepted fact when it was convenient to do so. That's what Americans are. Regardless of what happens in Israel, most people will denounce Israel after the fact rather than doing it at the moment.
What scares me is I think the last country to support the state of Israel will be the United States. And by the time the United States figures out, okay, we shouldn't do that, I think they're going to blame it on Judaism. That's what I'm afraid of. That's why I say Americanism must be attacked at the same exact time. Here's the basic logic to that. Okay, so we can all agree that Britain should be destroyed. Screw Britain. All right? Liberation for the Irish, Scottish, and Welsh. English have a right to exist, but they don't have a right to a country. That is my position on that. They have a right to exist as a culture, as a nation, but not a country. They don't have a right to any country. Sorry, they don't. King Arthur is Celtic, not English, period. Anyway, the point being is that what came from Britain, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the United States, and Israel. All of these countries shouldn't exist. What makes America and Israel unique is that they're the two breakoffs, and they're unchallenged. I mean, yeah, they get challenged, but they're like monster states. Like, there's something very disturbing about both the United States of America and the Zionist state of Amalek that I won't call Israel.
My thing that makes me angry is
I'll use some real Hebrew here. Ha Medinat Vehlo Yisrael. And that translates to the state is not Israel. Because no, Israel is the Jewish people. So how can any country use that term? See, and that's the thing. They're committing cultural genocide by calling themselves that, while completely ignoring the very basis of Jewish. And being Jewish has everything to do with the Torah itself and what that entails.
I think it was a controversial song. I forgot by Low Key when he called Israel the 51st state of America.
I love that song.
Well, Low Key is how I discovered Immortal Technique, by the way.
I already knew about Immoral Technique, but like Immoral Technique's pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking based. Yeah, there might be some things I don't agree with 100%. But for the most part, he's fucking based.
I'm sorry, but my actual favorite song from him is Goonies.
My favorite song is Cause of Death. You know, I should upload that song this year on 9/11. It's a great song for 9/11 because he. Like,
have you ever heard the song? Is that the same song as the song Bin Laden? Has anybody heard that? Bin Laden didn't blow up the projects. It was. You ever hear that song?
No, he said Bin Laden is part of the same two-headed dragon. And at least that's one of the lyrics he said in the song.
Well, look up the song Bin Laden. I think Eminem has a cameo in there too.
I have all of his albums. You know, one thing I'm getting really sick and tired of is people quoting George Orwell and that one person that wrote Handmaid's Tale.
I'm not gonna lie, I like the book 1984. I know that a lot of communists don't like that book, and I get why. But this is my take. 1984 is actually talking about the United States today. That's my take. That's my take on that. And that Big Brother it doesn't exist. Just as in other words, the president doesn't exist. The president is some sort of sock puppet.
I hate 1984 because considering there's great works of literature that people are not encouraged to read. Encouraged to read
you know why I like 1984? You know why I like 1984? Because the goldfish memory mentioned is all over that book. Like, okay, I'll give it fact here. Here's a fact. Watch Rambo 3. Guess what is endorsed? Al Qaeda. Rambo endorses Al Qaeda in Rambo 3. Fact.
Rambo 3 is a comedy.
Well, okay, so Al Qaeda is actually a Western term. I don't think Al Qaeda likes to be called Al Qaeda. They're one of the Mujahideen groups. That's actually what they are, and they're pretty much broken. Like the Al Nusra Front exists now, which is a section of Al Qaeda that survives. And again, Al Qaeda is a really strange thing to call it because Al Qaeda is just a word which means the base, but the proper term is Mujahideen.
Well, I say it's a comedy because if you think about it, it's kind of funny how poorly that movie is aged.
You know it hasn't aged though? 1984 from 1984. That movie's great. You should actually watch it. You probably won't because I get it on principle that, communists don't like that book. But
I'd rather read the book than watch the movie. As much as I hate fucking George Orwell, though, to be fair, Animal Farm's worse than 1984.
I don't like Animal Farm. I hate Animal Farm. 1984. You'd also got to see, and then he was freaking high as hell when he wrote 1984. I don't like the fact that it's obvious that Big Brother's a parody for Stalin and that Goldstein's a parody for Trotsky. I get that. That's kind of screwed up. But if you look deeper at what's being said here, it's a legit fear he had. Don't think of it as the Soviet Union. Like, if you really get into it, what is Eurasia? The United States is Eurasia. We erase history out here. Now everything's on the internet, and the Internet Archive, or the Internet Archive or the Wayback Machine, whatever, no longer works. They're removing stuff from that. So everybody's digitalizing their stuff, and it's being removed now. There you go. We were never at war, before. It's like, think about it. We were not at war with Al Qaeda. Now we're at war with Al Qaeda. We were never at war with them. Well, now we are again. It goes back and forth and shit. Like,
well, 1984, I'll give it credit. It has some artistic merit. I will not give that same credit to Animal Farm because Animal Farm is anti-proletarian and basically argues that the proletariat are too fucking stupid to take power. And they're useful idiots.
Animal Farm is not good. 1984 is, but 1984 was speaking to something a lot deeper than what people try to use it for. And like, okay, so 1984, a good parallel we're actually seeing. Like I said, if anything, Eurasia today is actually the United States of America. Here's one. Who put Saddam Hussein in office? Who is directly responsible for Saddam Hussein taking over Iraq? Does anybody know?
The United States.
Yep, that's right. The United States. And then the United States went to war with Saddam Hussein. Even though Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11, they just went to war with him anyway. You know, like the only group that could actually, the only thing that could be fully indicted, by the way, is not even Afghanistan, but Saudi Arabian, you know, like terrorists, basically. You know, and yet, going to Afghanistan, most people in Afghanistan had no clue what America was. Going to war with Iraq, which definitely had nothing to do with it.
What's ironic is when I try to hammer home about a libertarian who knew nothing about the third world, I said, I had to hammer it to him that people in the global South look at the American flag and see it as no different from the swastika.
Well, you shouldn't see it as different. Like, this is the thing. Like, I appreciate that people don't like the Confederate flag, but it's like this. Okay, a lot of Native Americans find the Confederate flag less offensive than the Stars and Stripes. Obviously, a lot of Black people, and by the way, I'm not speaking universally about Black people or Natives. I'm just saying a lot of Native Americans find the Confederate flag less offensive. Not that they don't find it offensive, they find it less offensive than the Stars and Stripes. And of course, a lot of Black people have the reverse position, that the Stars and Stripes is less offensive than the Confederate flag. But the truth is, both flags are offensive. The Don't Tread on Me flag is offensive. There's no such thing as an American flag.
The Don't Tread on Me flag is basically hypocritical, because think about it. Don't tread on me. What the fuck does that even mean? It's okay for libertarians to tramp on other people, but it's not okay when it's done back to them.
It's just into the whole problem with the right-wing libertarian argument. You know, even though the fact that libertarian was supposed to be an anarchist far-left term, but whatever. The basic shift is this. In fact, this is the whole problem with individualism. Not individuality, not your individuality, not my individuality. That's legitimate. I'm talking about individualism. Okay. Basically, it goes like this: I have a right. My right. Don't tread on my right to trample upon your rights. I have property. You don't. I win. You lose. That's the whole logic of individualism, right there.
Individualism is just narcissism. That's how I see it.
And lo and behold, which one protects individuality? Collectivism or individualism? It is collectivism that protects individuality. Individualism only works for certain individuals. You know,
individualism is a fucking contradiction, because what the fuck does it actually mean? I know what it means, but rhetorically, what does it mean?
Really, it just means capitalism. Let's be real.
There is no individualism and individuality under capitalism, because if you don't conform to what standard, then you're basically a deviant or.
Highlight Christopher's thing, actually. That thing that. But neither one of my kids have ever pledged allegiance in school, so I don't see a problem with it. I pretty much told my kids that they're not supposed to, and I gave legit reasons why, and they never did. Neither one of them. Neither my son, who neither my son, who a lot of you may be familiar with, as as they used to be known as Corporal Cat, and not my 9-year-old either. She doesn't do it either. Like, it just actually, let me see if I have it. I wrote a satire thing. I wanted to give this to you, Jordan, since in support of your anti-America party.
Oh God, the anti-American party.
I wrote something once. I wrote a poem once. I'm gonna keep Christopher's thing up while I mock the Pledge of Allegiance for everybody. Is everybody ready for this? This is an all-original netism. Does everybody want this? Does everybody want this? Put this in the chat if you want this. This is the greatest thing ever.
Do you guys want this? Answer yes or no, though. He's going to read it anyway. It's answer.
Yes. Like, please say yes. I think Louis wants to. I think Louis is on the same way with me here. I love Logan Manson Games. You are awesome. I do this just for people like you. Do we have any feedback for this? Do we want me to go through with this or not? Yes. That's one yes. Can I get more? Yes. Jordan. All right. Anybody else?
I have spoken.
You have spoken? All right. I pledge allegiance to this piece of cloth representing the United Corporations of America and to the homeland because this is what it means for one bank under capitalism, exempt from liberty, no justice, because it's just us. Amen.
The true Pledge of Allegiance.
Would you like me to read it again? Or would that be redundant?
Read it again. I don't care.
All right. Okay. I pledge allegiance to this piece of cloth representing the United Corporations of America and to the homeland because this is what it means for one bank under capitalism, exempt from liberty, no justice, because it's just us. Amen. Hoo-ha, apple pie, baseball, and hot dogs, Chevrolet, and football.
Fuck
I
football.
added that last part myself. That wasn't actually.
Fuck football, and no, for my European comrades, I don't mean soccer. I mean American football. Yeah, you know what? Fuck, basketball, not basketball, baseball.
No, basketball. Sorry. I mean, I don't love it, but I did too much to bash it. Basketball is an actual Olympics. Leave it alone.
Fuck baseball. Fuck golf. The only legitimate sports, and if you disagree with me, are you're wrong. Is real soccer, which is football everywhere else around the world, hockey, and
hockey,
and basketball. If you disagree with me, you're wrong.
I agree.
Besides, fucking football is a pussy sport for cucks. You want to know what a real manly sport is? Fucking skating on fucking ice, fucking beating the shit out of each other when you're trying to fucking get a fucking puck. That's a fucking
boxing. Bare knuckle boxing, which I would lose at, but still.
No, that is what a real manly sport is. That's fucking hockey.
Oh, by the way, my 9-year-old daughter loves soccer. She really loves soccer.
I wasn't too bad at at baseball.
Oh, okay. We should be fair. Tennis isn't bad. Tennis is I mean, like it's what golf should be. We should say that.
Golf is not a sport. It's a rich man's pastime. Like, as the late George Carlin once said, watching golf is like watching two flies fuck.
It becomes more interesting when you smoke pot, though. I mean, for real. You know, like, golf becomes slightly more interesting to watch when you smoke pot. Slightly. I mean...
Yeah.
Like... Yeah. But yeah, like, everybody who's watching this, there's a link in the description to a playlist. This playlist shows you what Dr. Weisfeld's going through. This needs to be whatever you can, you know, X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, whatever platforms you can use this on. I'm sorry, I'm not hip to the times. Like, if you got Discord, I'm terrified of Discord. I'm just gonna be honest. I mean, it's called Discord. That should say something. But you know, like whatever ways you can, spread this playlist. Watch this playlist. Spread it everywhere. Okay. You can visit. I'm Comrade Net, the cleric of public relations for the Bundist movement. Dr. Weisfeld is the chairman of the Revolution for the Bundist movement, founder of the Jewish Socialist Bund, which, by the way, is way more better than the old Jewish labor Bund, which was pretty cool in its own right. But we've advanced a lot. I mean, one thing that you can notice about the Bund today is we're a lot more partial to Marxist-Leninist theory than the previous. We don't always agree with it, though. We will openly disagree with Marxism-Leninism on certain things, but there's parts of Marxism-Leninism that we embrace now that we didn't embrace before. We tend to get along with anarchists very well. And again, there's a such thing as Maoism Bundism, and there's a such thing as anarcho-Bundism. These things exist as well. And Dr. Weisfeld is down with them all across the board. But, please share this playlist. It's the best protection we can give him right now. Because he's not going to stop doing this. I'm pretty sure he did this today, if I understood this, and he just hasn't uploaded. I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure he did this again today, and he's about to upload it, or maybe in the process of uploading the more. But, you go through the playlist in the description, you'll see what I mean. Now, he gets a lot of solidarity from certain people, but he also, the Zionists they're getting more aggressive with him, and I'm getting concerned by this.
But despite what's been going on with America regarding what's going on in Palestine, the Americans themselves are not as supportive of Israel as they used to. Despite the propaganda, they're not as supportive of Israel, and I believe that a lot of it has to do with the younger generation.
Actually, you know what? Highlight Raymond Pixar, please. I'm going to answer that question.
Which one?
Who gives a freak about manly and womanly away? In absolute love and solidarity to you, I do. I care about all things manly and womanly. Why? Because I'm completely 100% heterosexual, straight, cis male, but I'm also a tom girl. Deal with it. Hands off my dress. And I do look. No, I don't look good in a dress. I wish, but that's not the point. I can be girly if I want to be. So, long live the manly and long live the womanly. And you too. You feel the same way. I've listened to you a lot. I pay attention to every comment you make, Raymond. So you care about it too, in a whole different way.
Well, when I was doing that thing with hockey earlier, I was saying it to mock football.
No, I know what you're saying. Hey, I have my own communication with the queer community. I have my way of communicating with them.
I'm sorry, but okay, maybe I shouldn't be saying this because it'll come off the wrong way, so I won't say this joke. About football. Unfortunately, I cannot say it. I would love to, but I can't. If I was part of the community, I would say it. So, but I can't.
Hey, Dino Man, highlight that. All right on. Be proud of that shit if you do it. Fuck.
Hey, I have a confession. When I play RPGs, I mostly play as female characters. If given the choice, I don't play as male characters.
I tend to sing along with the girl singing that I do the boy singing. So there. When the woman sings, I tend to sing along with her rather than the man for some reason. I don't know why. Should I read it again just to break the ice? Should I do it again?
Sure.
Are you sure? Can you handle it a third time? Is everybody's brain going to explode if I do it the third time? All right, fuck it, I'll do it. I pledge allegiance to this piece of cloth representing the United Corporations of America and to the homeland because this is what it means. One bank under capitalism, exempt from liberty, no justice because it's just us. Amen. Apple pie, baseball, and hot dogs.
You know what? You know one thing I would support. You know, let's not do this. Oh yeah, let's do a movie with two lesbians as something we should put in theaters. No, let's not do that. Let's do two gay guys and let's have two of them have beards.
Yes, we'll go with that. Sure. I mean, well, let's be real. Let's be real. Like, people just fetishize lesbians. They don't care about lesbians. They're not tolerant of lesbians. They get fetishized. It's just the truth.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. This is how you can tell. Okay, you want to know how you can tell Jason Unruh really is bisexual? Because every bisexual typically will say, I believe everybody to some extent is bisexual. So the fact that he says that proves that. This is how you can tell I really am a straight man. This is a real straight man words. And every straight man that doesn't say this is probably secretly gay and they just hate themselves and they have their own internal homophobia. This is the real position of the straight man. Everybody's a little bit gay. It's just how gay are you? That is the real heterosexual position. Sorry. I don't make up the rules.
Neither do I. I mean, if you're afraid of two gay guys kissing, in media.
Oh, please, like, think about it. Do you want some straight guy looking at your wife, like, no, screw that. No, you want a gay guy that hangs out with her because he's gay. Get real.
Yeah, I would like my wife to have a gay friend.
Yeah. Like, this is why I just don't, like, this is why, like, all the extra homophobia I've always found very bizarre. It doesn't make any sense.
It is really scary just how conservative American culture has become in the past 5 years.
I'm not even sure what conservative means anymore. Conservative used to mean to conserve, but then it became this political fucking word. Like
let's be real. Conservative-minded people in the global South would never use the word conservative.
I think Logan Menace in Games is trying to say something about being pansexual.
Oh.
The thing about, now that is a real pansexual position, because pansexual itself is not really an orientation like asexual or homosexual, heterosexual, because pansexuals always transcend orientation. They're open gates, so they don't care about gender roles. They don't care what your orientation is. That's been my experience with them. So, like, pan. In fact, the word pan, I don't know if you know this, Jordan, but pan means all. So
I know.
Yeah. So I get that. I get that.
The reason why I bring this up, because how I think our entertainment is a good way to reflect that. Have you noticed how little black men are featured in entertainment and prominent roles that isn't a
okay, the reason for this, you want to know why? The reason for this is because black men actually have masculinity. Okay? All right. When I say that the white man is gay, I don't mean to be homophobic in any way. What I'm saying is that the white man, every white man is gay, even straight white men are gay. The proof is, okay, white men talk about boobs, okay? We like boobs. I like boobs too, okay? But let's be real about this. Boobs are fat. So if you're not into chubby chicks like me, you're probably gay. That's my position on that. I mean, now I don't mean that in absolutes, because that's not an absolute. You should be very careful taking anything I say to an absolute degree, because absolutes is dangerous. But what I'm pointing out here is that the reason why you don't see those black men is because black men have masculinity. Gay black men have a lot of masculinity. So black men make white men feel scared because white men are sissies. It's just the truth.
I bring this up because, like, we used to see black men featured far more in movies. But I bring up movies than 20 years ago than we did in the mid 2010s. I blame Marvel for this, actually, for this shift. The whiteification of cinema, where white people are, even though it's always been this way, but it became so overt. Regardless of how everyone feels about Finn and The Force Awakens, he was intended to be the protagonist. the secondary protagonist throughout the sequel trilogy. And the very fact that people still cannot see that to this day, how Rian Johnson like sidelined a person that started off as a main character to a side character. I don't. There's okay. I'm just good. I'll say this more in my Last Jedi video stream. I think Rian Johnson's a racist.
He might be. Jordan, what is the S word? Because I don't want to cause any offense. So like if you could type to me in Skype what the S word is, so I know which word.
What S word?
Raymond Pickstar says that I should watch my mouth on the S word, which I'm open to being corrected on that. I just want to know what the S word is.
Okay, what comment?
I'm not sure. I hope it's not the word shit, because maybe I say that word too much.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay. But white cinema is no longer popular, actually. But what they do, like you'll see, like, okay, with the sequel trilogy, for instance, they tried virtue signaling. Now, here's a funny thing. I don't see how Rey was empowering women at all, because she was in love with the guy who was abusing her, Kylo Ren. I thought that was very strange.
That's a retcon, because if you look at her relationship with Finn in The Force Awakens, they were obviously going to be an item at the end of the trilogy. That was actually changed. But Disney did not want to have an interracial couple in Star Wars. And they were catering to the vocal minority, of course, which is the reason why Star Wars sucks now. No offense, Nat. But
Sorry. I should be careful saying sissy, and I apologize to everybody.
I'm sorry for saying that, but I think Star Wars sucks now because it caters too much to fans. Unlike the George Lucas days where you had creatives that actually told stories instead of trying to cater to fucking fans all the damn time. I don't think fans know what they want.
I think the other problem is, okay, like for instance, with this S word that I should not say, like I'm willing to accommodate that. I don't placate, but I'm willing to accommodate. Like one thing I tried to understand is I do try to take the Zoomers seriously. A lot of people don't give the Zoomers credit. Maybe the Zoomers are right. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Perhaps I shouldn't say gay the way that I say it. It's very common in my generation, but like it is overplayed. You know, when you say gay in reference to lame, it can hurt people. So like I have to think about this for a second. Another thing is that, you know, the word retard really means like to disrupt, you know, so it's a verb, but it may be a word that should be taken away from the language because it's used in the context of retard. You know what I mean? And it's weaponized on autistic people. So there are other words other than that term that to mean disrupt. You could just say disrupt and not the word retard.
I don't think fat should be used either because I think fat's ableistic.
But you know what I mean? Like a lot of times people, for instance, in my generation will say that's retarded. We don't mean anything ableistic, but unfortunately it is used too much in that sense because it's used to describe autistic people. So it is a word worth abolishing. You get what I mean?
I think fat is ableistic.
But that's not placating. That's accommodation. It's proper. It's correct accommodation, which shouldn't be accused. A correct accommodation is not the same thing as placating. You get what I mean?
I agree. I don't use the word sissy at all because
I didn't know sissy was so offensive, but like I could believe it is. I could believe that.
I use other words besides that.
I will try not to say it from here on out because I was unaware of that.
I prefer using cuck, though. Some people, if cuck becomes offensive, I'll retire it. But I actually prefer cuck over sissy personally.
I guess there's wimp, I suppose, but like, look, I'm just deliberately demasculating the white man. That's all I'm really trying to do here. It's just because the white man has no balls.
Fuck. Yeah, the white man's a cuck.
Oh, let's just say it. Fuck Whitey. Just say it. Fuck Whitey.
Fuck Whitey. Whiteys are cucks.
They are. Because like, what is white culture? It literally doesn't exist. So it's really just about making Europe superior to everybody. That's really what the whole thing is about. It's basically the mirage of Westernism. Even though there is no West or East, if you think about it, these are directions on a compass. But nonetheless.
Western entertainment's losing against Japan and China.
Well, I mean, that is kind of funny. But you'll also see like Bollywood may outdo Hollywood. Do you know what Bollywood is?
No.
Bollywood is basically Hollywood from India, and a lot of times they'll be singing in the middle of it. Like I've watched a couple of Bollywood movies; they're actually pretty interesting. You know, it could literally like outdo Hollywood. Like okay, like there's still good stuff that comes from Hollywood, but not a lot much more than they're like. Okay, there are gold mines that come out of Hollywood, but they're becoming less and less, and they're going to continue to go on the decline. Because if Hollywood was to really maintain popularity, they would have movies about people beating up cops, and the people beating up cops would be seen as the heroes. They would have movies about burning the American flag and people cheering that. But because Hollywood doesn't reflect that, Hollywood is going down. You know,
Hollywood also anti-superhero movies.
The Boys is interesting. You should watch The Boys. That's Boyz, by the way, not Boy.
I know about The Boys.
Okay, cool.
I'm just saying, make anti-superheroes popular, and I mean more popular, not just something on a small screen, but in the big screen. Like have superheroes be cops and have the everyday people beat the fuck out of them.
I'm down with that.
Because let's be honest, what is a superhero but a cop? They're a cop without a badge. I mean, Batman was ahead of his time.
Yeah, which would mean that he wasn't a true vigilante, because a vigilante is Antifa.
I have more respect for Punisher than I do fucking Batman, because Punisher doesn't like the cops. Well, depending on the writer, but whatever.
Wolverine.
The X-Men.
Yeah, the X-Men. The X-Men are kind of like the 1960s, 70s Rainbow Coalition sort of vibe. Like, are the X-Men really superheroes, or are they civil rights activists? This is like a real question, like that could be raised about these things.
You know, the X-Men, you should decouple them from Marvel. They shouldn't be part of the Marvel universe.
Well, I mean, Marvel and DC are gonna. They're losing their relevance. Like you had mentioned that Star Wars is unappealing to young people. I say that that's only half true. I think it still is largely. I think it's actually DC and Marvel that are on the decline.
I think Star Wars is on the decline too, not just Marvel.
Star Wars will survive though, because Star Wars is like Lord of the Rings or Chronicles of Narnia. There's something to it that will make it enduring. Like the 6 movies themselves, the 6 original movies by Lucas, those will endure regardless. Like they're going to endure somehow, because there's something timeless about what's being told about that. Like, how does a republic become an empire? Whereas,
I honestly think Star Wars is kind of vague in its message until the prequels.
Well, see, but that's why it doesn't work without the prequels. Okay, in fact, the contradictions of the original trilogy no longer exist if you watch the prequels. Like, it's literally not there. The only thing that you got like, we've had conversations about this, before, but like the one thing that you got me on is, how did they create that second Death Star so quickly? That part you got me on. Although I'm sure
it doesn't matter.
Independent contractors. Watch the Jay and Silent Bob universe. Independent contractors.
Okay, let's be real. You need George. There was a lot of stuff that George Lucas had to compromise when he did A New Hope. And since it was the final act of a trilogy, you had to raise the stakes for a storytelling purpose. So, who cares?
Yeah, I get it, and they probably would remake the Death Star. They probably would. Like there are things, but I'll be honest. Like, only the sequel trilogy bothers me. I don't even mind, Star Wars Resistance. I really thought that the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was pretty cool. my problem with the Obi-Wan series was not the plot or even the slaps. Like, I didn't even mind Leia hiding under the shirt, because Star Wars could be outrageous at times, and I appreciate it. My problem with that 6-part series was that they screwed up the special effects on certain things. That bothered me.
Well, I don't think Vader needed to be in the show. I think Darth Vader kind of
I think
away from
one of the best.
what the show.
Boba Fett is one of the best, and one of my favorite characters is deepfake CGI Luke Skywalker. And here I'm on the Dark Stovia channel to say how much I disagree with my homie Dark Stovia on that. The best character ever is
CGI. I hate CGI Luke Skywalker, but I will only concede on one thing. At least he's not a Zionist like Mark Hamill.
There you go. I win. You lose. Haha. No, sorry. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it.
Well, Mark Hamill's a Zionist. That's the only reason I support deepfake Luke Skywalker.
It's a challenge that Dave Filoni has, because he has to now connect the original trilogy to the sequels. So he's gonna he has to make sense of the fall of Luke Skywalker. He has to make that shit make sense. He's got quite a challenge on his hands. I like Ahsoka Tano, and I'm sorry because I love Luke Skywalker, but I'd like Anakin Skywalker more because I think the prequels are better than the originals. I'm sorry, and I think the dialogue to the prequels is better than the originals. I'm sorry again. Wait, no, I'm not sorry.
I think Rooney. I don't think you could redeem the fucking Luke Skywalker, because Luke Skywalker is Star Wars itself, and I don't think you could ever.
Anna is awesome, and she's everything that Rey is not.
I agree, but Luke Skywalker is the core of Star Wars. And I think by disrespecting Luke Skywalker, you disrespect Star Wars itself.
I will prove that the best Star Wars movie ever is Attack of the Clones. Are you ready?
I will not concede to that.
No, I will prove it anyway. I will prove it anyway. You want to know? I can prove it now. You are asking me to be rational. That is something that I know that I cannot do. I won.
I think Revenge of the Sith, because it's like a Shakespearean.
Okay, if you talk about objectively, what's as movie making goes, Revenge of the Sith is the best out of all of them, objectively speaking. But this is how my preference is. Okay, all right. My number one favorite is Attack of the Clones. My second favorite is A New Hope. Those are my very favorites right there. But then it goes in this order: Attack of the Clones, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, Revenge of the Sith, The Phantom Menace, and then Empire Strikes Back.
Mine's different, actually.
What's yours? Give me the 6 and your preference.
Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, A New Hope, Phantom Menace, and the bottom is Attack of the Clones. I don't like any of them. It's just the Phantom
Clones is the very best. Like it is the best. It has the best dialogue. It has the superior dialogue. I mean, I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with saying I don't like sand. Luke whined a lot more bitchy than. If bitchy is the wrong word, people can let me know. Please understand, Comrade Ned is a relic from Generation X, and he truly apologized. See, now I'm speaking to the third person. This is terrible. But like okay, so Anakin Skywalker is there with Padme, and he's like, and then we decided to rescue you, Master. And Obi-Wan Kenobi looks up in the shades and says, "Good job." You cannot beat that. That is the best shit ever. Sorry.
Honestly, my biggest issues of Attack of the Clones, it's I feel like the love story is one-sided.
I disagree.
I disagree. Nothing from Padme's perspective.
I so disagree, because she expresses that. Okay, see, Padme's issue was she was uncomfortable with the fact that she was attracted to him. She likes bad boys.
That's not really conveyed that well in the movie. I'm sorry.
Also, we now know that she's racist towards Tusken Raiders. Yeah. She wasn't perfect either, yo. No, she was not.
I feel like for a movie that's supposed to be like the most important in the saga, which Attack of the Clones is, because without that part of the story, the original trilogy cannot happen. I think Anakin and Padme's love story wasn't told as well as it should have.
I thought it was perfect because
it requires secondary sources to even make their romance believable.
I disagree because it really was the James Dean appeal, and she really was into the dangerous guy. And also, we now know that she's racist towards Tusken Raiders, which I always suspected myself. Okay, well, that's a weird claim to make, that because, like, so I'm kind of joking with that. But the truth be told is, like, there are flaws with these characters. Okay, Mace Windu believes in the Republic. You know about this because you're an EU guy, so you know what I'm talking about here. He believes in the Republic. That's kind of his flaw. The downside of Obi-Wan Kenobi is he should have from the start gone the way of Qui-Gon Jinn, but he did not. Okay? Yoda really is wise, but he's gotten old. It's like, there's a difference between the activist getting old and the activist degenerating. Did Yoda really get degenerate, or did he get old? And that's a point I try to make. For instance,
we don't know where Yoda was when he was in his youth. We don't know.
But
if he degenerated or not.
Okay, so, like, yes, it's true. You get a better context by watching the Clone Wars. But if you what I'm trying to say is there's a subtext going on with these characters that a lot of people don't pay attention to. There are intrinsic flaws. Padme, from the beginning, has intrinsic flaws. You can't just point this out, well, Anakin's kind of weird. Of course he is. And in fact, of course, he's unstable even. But there's something wrong with Padme, too. There's something wrong with the characters themselves. And that is actually in the subtext if you're paying attention.
Well, I just feel like it should.
That's the beauty of that. That is brilliance right there.
I feel like secondary material should not be required for their love story to work. I don't think
I never needed that, bro. I never needed that. And besides,
I just don't think George Lucas did a good job conveying
to be rational. That is something I know that I cannot do. There is never going to be a line like that again. I love that. And there were young men that identified with that, because if you're really in love, you're not going to be rational. Trust me, I know. Love transcends good and evil. Trust me.
I know that, but I think that I'm just gonna. This is not a hot take. The Phantom Menace. Not Phantom Menace. Attack of the Clones need to be at least 4 hours, because I don't think the kind of story that it was telling 2 hours is not enough. I think to tell Padme and Anakin's story and tell it properly. And
you are overly critical here, man. No, it was perfect. It was.
Well, it's not just the story with Anakin and Padme. There's also other stuff as well, like the political plots. I just like in the movie. I just feel like it's not given enough time to breathe, because
I don't get it. Maybe it's because I'm not an authentic American, but like I understood all of that stuff from the start. That was crazy. I don't know why.
I'm being critical because if I love something, I'm going to be critical.
I can give I can give an objective critique about Attack of the Clones. You ready?
What?
That is the only one where the CGI actually at times does stick out.
Well, the CGI there was new.
There's more CGI in Revenge of the Sith than there is Attack of the Clones. Yet the CGI in Revenge of the Sith doesn't stick out the way that it sometimes does. And now, don't get me wrong, I will defend the CGI of the Attack of the Clones because it still stands up. But there are some times when it doesn't. There's a couple areas where it doesn't do it so well.
There's movies that came out.
So there, I'm being objective. And
there's movies that came out at that same time period that when you look at them now look way worse than.
No, that's what I mean. They will hold up regardless. Those movies will hold up regardless. They will. But it is Attack of the Clones where the CGI sometimes stands out at certain areas where it doesn't, where it shouldn't. Now, I'm just being objective about that. Like, objectively speaking, yes, Revenge of the Sith is probably the best one made. Objectively speaking, Empire Strikes Back is not even second best in that. I'm sorry, that's not true, because objectively speaking, the second best well-made one actually is Phantom Menace. That may piss people off, but it's true. The Phantom Menace is very well done. Like the graphics of that, the pod race, the coordination was perfect.
Well, I love the Phantom Menace. I don't think it deserves the hate that it gets. I think it's underrated.
I mean,
And fight me, but I think it has the best choreographed sword fight in any Star Wars movie.
The best choreographed Star Wars fight, objectively, if we're going objective, is Revenge of the Sith again. Sorry.
Well, the reason I say the Phantom Menace, because at the time we have yet to see a Star Wars movie where we see a lightsaber duel where you have a character wielding basically a double bladed lightsaber, which is basically a quarterstaff. And in movies you don't see characters wield staff like weapons in a fight scene.
I mean, okay,
it's
one of the really good ones. I think we all like, even though, okay, I'll give my critique about my second favorite one, A New Hope. Worst lightsaber battle ever. There.
To be fair, on A New Hope, it was the first Star Wars movie.
I know, but like you watch all the other movies and they're like you see like, I mean, but that's why I appreciate the Obi-Wan series. Was it necessary? No, but I'm glad they made it, because if you watch that 6-part series in between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, certain things start to click. Like I said, the only thing I have a problem with is the sequel trilogy. I don't even mind Star Wars Resistance. I loved the Book of Boba Fett, by the way. I hated the way people trashed that. I loved that. I thought that was better than Mandalorian season 1, 2, and 3. I don't mind season 3. I don't know why they did it, but I kind of appreciate it. Ahsoka Tano, loved that. I loved that. That was fucking cool.
Ahsoka Tano has been almost hated by like a lot of fans. Like, I don't know why.
Have you watched the Ahsoka series yet?
I haven't. I have to watch Rebels.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing, Jordan. Oh, dude, you do.
I think the biggest problem also with Star Wars, and I'm being honest, there's too much to keep up with.
Okay, look. The truth is, we don't need anything besides the 6 movies, honestly. But like, it's nice to have the extra stuff. Because, like I said, the only thing I don't like the hatred people get to the streaming series is because I think it's wrong that people do that. I think Rebels is a great show. I think Bad Batch is a great show. It's just the sequel trilogy. Even stuff from the sequel trilogy universe isn't bad, like Star Wars Resistance. It's just the sequel trilogy. Everything about the sequel trilogy is wrong. It doesn't even make sense. It's like a really bad anthology that should have never been made. Apparently, this great icon of woman liberation is teaching women to love their abusers. I'm sorry, there's something wrong with this thing.
And not to mention treat their black friends like shit.
I hated The Force Awakens as soon as it came out, and people hated me for that. And then when The Last Jedi came out, I just laughed at everybody. I couldn't stop. I mocked everybody, laughed at everybody, and then I saw people take an honest look at the prequels, because the prequels don't have worse dialogue. In fact, look, if you watch the prequels and if you watch the originals, they both have sappy dialogue, deliberately on purpose. That's all on purpose. You're not supposed. The way I looked at it is that you're not supposed to like Jar Jar Binks unless you're a kid. If you're an adult, you're supposed to find him annoying. He's commented on the fact that he's annoying. Everybody hated it because the truth is the prequels are 100% Antifa. That's why people had a problem with it. If you're not with me, you're my enemy. That was a clear parallel to George W. Bush. If you're not with us, you're with terrorists.
One thing I'm really getting sick and tired of, and I'm just going to say this, I'm sick and tired of Last Jedi stans and those who aren't stans, but who kind of given the movie way too much more credit than it actually deserves. Because what the fuck does The Last Jedi actually do? What does it actually have to tell us about the universe that these characters are inhabiting? What the hell does it have to say? It has nothing to say. On the surface, it does, but in reality, it really doesn't. Like, okay, let me get this straight. Finn, who's basically a slave before he left the First Order, is stupid and doesn't feel any empathy or any care about the children that are being enslaved in Canto Bight. If anything, it should be Finn that's angry instead of Rose.
I also wager that he can't make up his mind which woman he's in love with because he can't deal with the fact that he's actually in love with Poe. And Poe is not in the closet and Finn is. And so basically what they're saying is gay black men are self-hating gays, and I don't like that. Like,
well, that's not true, because if you look at the in Force Awakens, it's heavily implies he has a thing for Rey.
Yeah, but what's with throwing Rose Tika under the bus? What the hell's with that?
Because she's Asian.
So this means that that J.J. Abrams is also a racist. It's just that, oh, I'm going to hide that racism by having him hook up with a black chick. Like, what does that say about Finn, though? Like, really?
Yeah, but that black chick in that movie was actually originally in the script supposed to be Finn's sister, so I don't think they're hooking up at all.
Fine. But this is the point I make about the sequels. I hate the sequel trilogy. It's this madness of this anthology, and they're apparently doing representation, but they're really just shitting on women and black people throughout the whole thing. They are.
Well, even the new stuff, some of the stuff you enjoy is doing that too. Why are black people? Why are they only villains or side characters? Why can't they be main characters? And but Ahsoka is being played by a black woman. Yeah, but you don't actually see her. She's.
Well, I'm sure that they'll cover that eventually. Honestly, like. I'll be real. I think you're a little bit nitpicking there, because
I'm just being real. There is the representation is very
actually,
shallow.
No. Actually, Ice Cube's son was in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series as one of the good guys. There.
Yeah, but nobody important.
It'll happen.
Give it out.
Why? Why do you doubt it? Would you really think Dave Filoni's racist or something?
With this racist fan base, I doubt they'll do it because they're the ones that they cater to.
I don't think Dave Filoni is catering to racists, honestly.
He's created by Lucasfilm on a.
The truth be told, Dave Filoni is the real disciple of George Lucas. Like, give him some more time and stuff. He's already doing fine. You're just not paying attention, being real about it. Now, are any of these series necessary? No. The only thing necessary is the 6 movies. But I'm glad that those shows are there. It's really just the sequel trilogy I can't stand. I more than don't like the sequel trilogy. I hate the sequel trilogy. I think the sequel trilogy is evil. I think it's subliminally telling us to believe in Stockholm syndrome. Just being real about it. Like,
I dislike more than the sequels. I hate most of the tie-in of the new canon that's been produced since 2014. I hate that too. I don't just hate the sequels.
The challenge is how do you connect Return of the Jedi to The Force Awakens in a way that makes sense, and that's the challenge that they have to deal with.
You don't. You just move on and tell the
story. If you think about it from the point of view of somebody that thinks about Tolkien's world building, and you want that same thing from Star Wars, it makes sense that they're doing what they're doing.
You already have that in Star Wars. It's called Legends.
I mean, sure, okay, yeah, but like,
I know I'm a smart ass, but you already have that.
You are, but I mean, I get your point. I respect that position. I do. I do. Do we have a thumbnail for this? We should have a thumbnail with Dr. Weisfeld's face on it for this shit.
I'd have more respect for the current state of the franchise if majority of the stuff they put out wasn't just meh.
Fuck, I can't find it right now.
It's just, I don't hate. I know it comes off. I hate everything that's being put out. I don't. It's just I have the same apathy as a lot of Star Wars fans do. I just don't really care. It's why I haven't really talked about it.
Hey, man, while I live with these aristocrats, I might as well enjoy their streaming service. That's the way I look at it, because my life is shit right now. So, like, okay, if it's there, utilize it, because it won't.
I agree.
Because I don't think I'll be living here much longer. Like, a lot of shit is going down, and like, I don't want to get further into it. There's a video I put out about this on my channel, which if you watched it, you watched it. If you didn't, you didn't. It's called The Truth. It's just an explanation about things. I just tell the truth about what was going on in the former MRM network, and and what my place is and where I screwed up shit. That's all I do to that. But yeah, I'm like, while I'm here, and these streaming services are available, I'm going to utilize them, because they won't be here forever. And because it's entertainment is the opiate of the masses, as we both know. So, like, when I get my opiate, I look at Star Wars. I like, you don't know what you're missing with the Ahsoka series. Like, the truth is, Luke Skywalker has been butchered. There's nothing that can be done about it except boost up Ahsoka, and I agree with that. Or if they're clever, they can really show they can make a whole story about how Luke got so deranged, and I think that they can do that, which is why you got to. I
would rather them leave the sequels alone.
That's why every single anti-Zionist Star Wars fan needs to thumbs up deep fake CGI Luke Skywalker. Do it for Palestine. Okay, that's a little fucked up. I shouldn't say, but I'm just saying, like, because you're right. Mark Hamill's a Zionist. I like his character, Luke Skywalker, but like, it's fucked up what he's doing. You know, like he literally compared the Israelis to the Ewoks. That's bullshit right there. If anything, the Palestinians would be the Ewoks. Life is short, and then you die.
He's a celebrity. Does anyone actually?
Highlight what Cornelius said. Hell yeah, because that's how it is. If you're a revolutionary, you know that shit. Highlight what he said. That was real.
Oh, which one?
Life is too short, and then you die.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
But the thing is, I'm not being unlike these reactionaries that make it their personality to hate on everything. I focus on my energy on something else. I just focus on creating something rather than just bitching about it.
I hope everybody shares the playlist. He is not getting enough coverage. I've been saying this before, but nobody hears me say it. Help me get Dr. Weisfeld 1,000 subscribers on his channel. Can this be done? Can we do this? Make it happen. There's no excuse. Not like everybody's watching content creators. This guy goes to Palestine. There is fucking footage like of him actually being shot at by Israelis. Okay, it happens. It's there. I am afraid that the reason why people don't want to pay attention to it is because Jewish people, when we have the ability, we do stick up for the Palestinians. Because the truth is, Zionism is not a Jewish problem. It is a Western Christian problem. Christian Zionism predates Jewish Zionism. And the Jewish Zionists are secular humanists who hate religion. It's a fact. It's a fact. And another fact. Okay, Stalin was a great hero, but Stalin did support the creation of the State of Israel. That is a fact on record. And no stupid fucking argument that, oh, well, if he wouldn't have done that, the British would have stayed in power. Here, let's get something straight. The Balfour Declaration was a piece of shit. But I'll tell you something about the Balfour Declaration. It recognizes Palestine. The Zionists never recognized Palestine. So actually, Stalin helped contribute to something worse. You can be pro-Stalin, I'm pro-Stalin, and still criticize him for a terrible blunder that has ramifications to this day. Okay, the Bund, we were right about it. We were correct about the Zionists from the start.
Not to mention, this is also hurts the legitimacy of the Soviet Union. Any good they have accomplished prior to Stalin doing that.
I mean, why did you I think the thing is that the Bund did make mistakes. We did make mistakes. I get frustrated that Marxists don't acknowledge historical mistakes that are terrible mistakes that have had lasting ramifications. But
it's black Marxists that and those marginalized groups that acknowledge this, not white people.
Well, yeah, I know, but there's never a white Marxist Leninist that says it. It's like black Maoists. It's MLs and MLM in the third world that make these acknowledgments, but unfortunately, who has the dominance in conversation? Despite the fact that nobody cares about YouTube communists dominate this conversation globally still, and that's a problem. That's a big fucking problem. Now we know why people hate you third worlds, because you are the ones that know this. It goes to show, okay, within the first world, which communists are going to matter? Black people. I'm just going to be real about that. Black people.
I agree.
And that bothers people. No, I'm sorry. Black people are the first world proletariat. What proletariat is there in the first world? There's a lump of proletariat in the first world, a significant one. But like, if the proletarian of the first world is somebody that works at a freaking like Walmart, okay, I'm not saying that your job doesn't suck and that you're in debt, but like, for fuck's sake, what is that compared to sweatshops in the third world? Like, if you want first world labor is working in the food market, actually.
I could say that from experience. It's like, does anyone have any idea how difficult it is to stir up fucking pizza sauce? Like, it's not, it may not seem difficult, but if you're not used to it, and you're working a fucking long ass shift when you're at the almost towards the end of the shift, and the fucking bags that you're fucking trying to get the sauce out, you have a difficult time holding it because how exhausted you are. That's fucking proletarian work, not fucking Trader Joe's, the place I used to work at. That's fucking nothing. That's anybody can fucking do that job that's able-bodied.
But again, I ask the question: why is everybody paying attention to all these communist content creators on YouTube? But here you have live action with Dr. Weisfeld in Palestine. Like, if you go to the Bundesmovie channel, I even go out of the way to highlight the best playlists, the best playlists of him doing radical action in Palestine, but nobody gives a shit. I don't get it. You'd rather jack off to Stalin and Mao and rather than seeing what a live revolutionary activist is doing. That bothers me. That really pisses me off. And everybody who knows me knows that I love Stalin. I'm all about Comrade Stalin, but like, he wasn't a saint. I'm sorry. He wasn't God. He wasn't perfect. He was just like any other person. He did what he thought he had to do, and sometimes he did the wrong thing. Shit.
Yeah, that is true. I'm tired of Stalin being treated as some sort of religious figure.
And whether people like it or not, Mao Zedong did degenerate at the end, terribly. Like, he did. He went completely reactionary at the end.
And we're living we're living in a world of the results of that.
And by the way, just so I'm clear, in the Sino-Soviet split, I support China over the Soviet Union in that regard. I do.
So do I.
And Enver Hoxha and Mao Zedong totally understood how fucked up Nikita Khrushchev was. They were spot on about that. And mind you, no, I'm not for the destruction of the Soviet Union. Like, the worst thing that happened was Gorbachev. I'll tell you something about me. I was born in what is now today the capital of Macedonia, okay? I have no cultural connection to this place at all. But Jewish people who were in that area that is now Macedonia were told they had to choose whether they were Yugoslavian or Macedonian. Do you know why? Here's why. Because when Gorbachev was in power, he was removing the Warsaw Pact everywhere. The number one trading partner of the Soviet Union was Yugoslavia. And this emboldened the Macedonian separatists to start a nationalist movement. Nationalism, sectarian, racist nationalism swept across Europe because of that. So to be clear, despite my problems with the Soviet Union, particularly after Stalin, I am not somebody that's for the destruction of the Warsaw Pact. I don't like it. And I have to say these things because as soon as you say one thing, people assume you mean something else. No, fuck this. Yeah, okay, like the Yugoslavia was not part of the Warsaw Pact, but it was the biggest trading partner of the Soviet Union. And the sectarian racist nationalism that occurred because of fucking Gorbachev is not funny. It's not a joke. It's not something. It's not just a little small potatoes. Oh, that's not a big deal. No, that was a big fucking deal. You know, whenever people find out, oh wait, you're from Yugoslavia, you're from Macedonia, like, oh, so you must have been brought here as a baby because of communism. No, you fucking idiot. It had nothing to do with that. It had to do with nationalism. Like, and fuck Gorbachev for that shit. So yeah, no, like, I'm not for the destruction of the Soviet Union or the Warsaw Pact. But I am saying that the Soviet Union began to degenerate terribly. You know, particularly after Stalin, and the genesis of that starts with not just Stalin but Lenin as well. Not because everything they did was wrong. But because the fact is, the Soviet Union was the first country of its kind ever. So critically speaking, it's a breakthrough, but it made serious problems. And another thing people need to get over is not all the real anarchists who have the critique of, come from the 80s. Stop paying attention to the shit in the 30s and 40s and look at the real praxis that the anarchists in the 80s came up with, and they're still coming with. They make real critiques on the Soviet Union that makes sense. And they're not just bashing them. That's also why you got to be very careful about social media anarchists. They don't represent the anarchists. Like, you want to know what real anarchists on the street do? They hang out with Maoists. That's what I've seen. They hang out with Maoists. Besides, Maoists and anarchists love to argue with each other. But it's almost like a sibling rivalry thing, because when you're an Antifa, tendencies don't matter. What matters is fascists should be shot in the face. That's what matters. And
I agree.
So, like, there is no excuse for the sectarianism to not spread this playlist. Please spread this playlist everywhere, because this is ridiculous. That people are like, oh well, I want to watch this content creator. I want to watch that content creator. Fuck the content creators. I mean, I don't really mean that, because like a lot of them put out good content. But what about the fact that there's this guy doing real shit in real life? I'll tell you why. Because he's Jewish. It's as simple as that. I'm sorry. That's the fucking truth. Because Jewish people are hated on the far left. Why, you don't like the fact that there's just so much Jewish people that stay in the center left? It's because we're not welcome on the far left. Other marginalized groups don't want us there because we embarrass people. We're too honest. You want to destroy the white man? Talk to the white man's accountant. That's us, the Jewish people. We've been forced to be the white man's accountant. We're ready to fucking hand over this shit to everybody we can. But, here we are, labooned, but nobody's listening. By the way, I will say this. I will also say this. Who was the guy after Khrushchev? Brezhnev. Fuck Brezhnev. Brezhnev was the most anti-Semitic Soviet leader ever in history. I'm getting sick of people trying to say, oh, well, so what? He went on Stalin nostalgia. Guess who else does that? Putin. Big deal.
And Putin hates Stalin.
Yeah. I mean, I respect Putin because he stands up to the West, but let's be real. Putin's an imperialist as well. Putin has his own agenda. He really does. And no, I have no fucking love for the Ukraine, but he wasn't really justified for invading the Ukraine, to be honest. It just so happens that Ukraine's a fucked up civilization.
Yeah.
And I don't mind if anybody hates Vladimir Putin. I have my reasons for respecting him, but this gets into the thing I gotta say. So if you want to know who has freer press, America or Russia, the answer is Russia. However, there is one catch. If you talk too much about Putin, if you say too much criticisms of Putin or somebody else in his cabinet, you can be disappeared, actually. So there's that thing. But you can criticize government policies over there more freely than you can in the United States. They have better press. But here's another thing. You want some more shit to know? I will say this. Transphobia is way worse in Russia than it is in America. That's something else I know. So the whole thing in its whole context should be like, fuck all colonialism, fuck all imperialism. But in the West, we have to worry about the West. That's kind of the position I have about that. I definitely don't support China. I find China more problematic than Russia. China is undeniably a fascist country at this point. Anytime a capitalist country claims to be socialist, that is fascism right there. China, what used to be a socialist country, it used to be, but it's doing no different than what Nazis are doing. Like like having a red flag and claiming, that's how fascism works. Like, think about it, anarcho-capitalism. That should be a that should be a warning sign to anybody. How is anarcho-capitalism anything other than fascism? Anarchism, the last I checked, was socialist. So
I think it's because these anarcho-capitalists, they like the aesthetics of anarchism, but they don't like what anarchism actually is. But I think it's also about trying to steal terms that they cannot create themselves. Let's be honest. The right are fucking parasites, and they cannot actually create anything of their own. They steal it from others. The Nazis just basically tainted a symbol of peace throughout the world. Like, you cannot fly the swastika because of the Nazis. And that was a symbol of peace for thousands of years. And within a generation, the Nazis destroyed it.
Yep.
The Zionists.
Be real. I'll be real, because I don't want the 6-point star desecrated because what the Zionists are, for the sake of the Jains and the Buddhists and the Hindus and even certain Native American traditions. I would like to see the swastika redeemed. I don't want to see it on a tilt on a red flag, though. That's disgusting. And maybe the world's not ready for that yet. But the fact is, what's going on in Gaza means I'm very hesitant now to show the 6-point star anywhere, because I don't want to be a hypocrite about this shit. That's, like what Israel is, the way I see Israel, the state of Israel, the state of Amalek actually, is imagine basically a Nazi who skins a Jewish person alive and then wears the Jewish person's face. That is what the state of Israel means to me. The state of Amalek. How dare Netanyahu call Hamas Amalek when Amalek is the state of Israel? That is what Amalek is. Amalek is actually, theologically speaking, if we take the Jewish Torah seriously and we take all that stuff seriously, which I actually do, then actually Amalek would be the state of Israel. So, there you go.
Not to mention Benjamin Netanyahu is an anti-Semite.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
I agree. From river to sea, Palestine will be free. Deaf to Zionism and deaf to America.
And some actual Hebrew for people to know. Ha Medinat Velo Yisrael. That means the state is not Israel. Israel is a people nation, not a nation state. The state is Amalek. That's the Medinat Amalek, has no right to exist. It never had a right to exist. It negates the Torah culture. The Torah culture has nothing to do with that. We were the custodians, and then we were not the custodians. And there's no prophecy saying that we'll be even the prophecy of the Messiah. I don't know if you know this, but even the prophecy of the Messiah does not actually state that we'll be the custodians of the Holy Land again. It just, the prophecy is that the Messiah, so you have to understand the Messiah will be a king who will not be a monarch. Think of a Jewish Rebbe, like a Rebbe. And everybody gravitates around this person because they want to. Another factor is world peace has to already exist. So there is still strife after peace has been achieved. The Messiah removes that, basically. And another thing, you want to know what the third temple is? It's the old city of Jerusalem itself. And here's the proof. There's a Jewish quarter, a Muslim quarter, an Armenian quarter, and a Christian quarter. That is the third temple. And if you get rid of the marketing in there, if you get rid of the market inside there and just pay attention to what's really there, that is the third temple. And the reason why is because the temple was destroyed in fire. And in the Talmud, it says that the new temple will be made of fire. Well, what is the fire? The fire is something in the Jewish theology known as the Eish Tamid, which is with every Jewish person. And our Eish Tamid is calling us to do that, to cleanse the old city. You cannot do that, though, unless the state of Israel is abolished. You have to abolish the state of Israel just to do that, though. The state of Israel's, I do believe that the state of Israel is destroying the world. Now, that's more of a religious position than anything, but here's the thing. It's corresponding. Every religion talks about the end of the world being destroyed largely by weather and war. We're seeing climate change. We're seeing war. And, so let's get this straight. So science is intersecting with religion, intersecting with politics. We're at an end of days at this point.
I don't agree with that at all.
Really? Here's one for you. In Arizona, out here, Sonora cactuses have never died of heat, but they are. Are you saying that climate change isn't killing?
I'm not saying climate change isn't real, but I don't believe we're at the end times.
Well, we shouldn't be at the end of times. No one should seek the end times. But
when I see the end times, I interpret the end times being we're we're at a point of no return. I don't think we're quite there yet.
We're getting there, man. We're getting there. What are we doing to stop this war in Ukraine? What are we doing to stop, the Palestinians from being murdered? This is a genocide. This peaceful protest shit isn't working. It's not fucking working. We should be taking up arms and protecting the Palestinians with our lives. That's what we should do. Regardless of, Red Peg and Nicole said it best. We should be thinking about treason and subversion. Make treason popular again. That's my little slogan. You should use your anti-American party. Make treason popular again. And spread Dr. Weisfeld's playlist, please.
I think the thing is, these people who are protesting, I think they're afraid of losing their privileges if they were to rise up.
And yet people want to say that there's revolutionary potential in the first world. My God.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. The government can't arrest everyone. They can't shoot all the protesters.
Well, see, this is why we should come to protests armed. We should really start realizing that the cops are going to start arresting people arbitrarily anyway. They're already doing it. The recent video by Nicole, for instance, that that was mentioned yet, that she's spot on about that. I mean, right now, like in Florida and in Texas, it's pretty much criminalized now to be queer or trans. It's happened. It's here. It's already fucking here. Why weren't people giving a shit when Muslims were being taken away under the NDAA signed by Obama? Where was the outcry? Like, it's just
because it didn't affect them.
Exactly. It doesn't matter until it affects you.
Well, it's that Holocaust poem. I forgot who the person who said it, but he said first they came for the, but essentially he says at first he came for the communists. I said nothing because I wasn't a communist. Then they went for the trade unionists. I didn't say anything because I wasn't a trade unionist. I don't remember the exact poem, but I do remember the end. When they came for me, nobody was there to speak for me.
Yeah. I question the legitimacy of a lot of people who say they're communists or they're Marxists or they're anarchists or they're socialists, and they're just watching content creators, but they're not paying attention to Dr. Weisfeld here. This is significant. And like I said,
another thing is
the reason why he's being ignored is because Jewish people, we actually will defend Palestinians. You don't see other groups doing it quite the way that we will do it, because we are not Israel. Zionism is not a Jewish issue. It is quite literally a Western Christian issue.
Well, Zionism doesn't just threaten Jewish people. It threatens like all marginalized groups.
Yeah, it's like the one form of racism that's somehow okay. It's crazy.
It's like they'll go out. The Zionists support like the same people that support the killing black people, support killing indigenous people, support going after like any other group, Asians as well. It's like there isn't a single group Zionists don't support that when it comes to white supremacy. White supremacy and Zionism go hand in hand. You cannot just walk away from the problem. Honestly,
I just got a text back from Red Peg and Nicole. She's going to help spread the playlist.
I'm completely disillusioned when it comes to. I don't trust the American people. I don't think the American people are trustworthy. I think the American people, yeah, there's people that are protesting against what's going on in Gaza, but the people don't give a shit. The best way to help the Palestinian people is not boycotting. It's not fucking. Even though it helps, not enough. They should be going to military bases in America and fucking vandalizing the military bases, destroy military equipment, sabotage by any means necessary. If there's a shipment to ship weapons,
well, we're all going to the camps anyways. I mean, that's just how you have to look at it. Might as well go down fighting than being miserably broken in some dark room. Like, that's just how you have to start looking at it, because like I don't see how people don't see the ramifications with the Florida shit, particularly. That alone should be scaring people, but like, oh no, we're just getting along with our lives. They'll
go after people who they'll go after people who are heterosexual, but they don't meet the definition of what it means to be heterosexual.
Oh, they can try to shoot me. I'm more straight than all those white motherfuckers.
They'll go after. I mean, they'll go after autistic people too. I mean, they'll go after any disabled people as well. It's like there isn't a single group that these people don't fucking want dead.
I worry about that because, like, you know, like with you know about the kid formerly known as Corporal Cat. They are Jewish because their mother has raised them Jewish. They are queer, asexual, and they're clearly autistic. Very autistic, actually. That kid does not like to be touched. I'll just let you know, like, freaks out if you touch them. Like, they only let their mom touch them. Like, my kid has to worry about the possibility that they and anybody else like them is going to get lobotomized because they've done shit like that before, by the way. They've done that shit before. What makes you think that they won't do that again? This is the United States. This place inspired Adolf Hitler. This place used to sterilize people because they were considered, you know, bad genes. Whatever the fuck that actually means. It's here. It's already here. And it won't matter whether Biden gets a second term or whether Trump if Trump goes to jail, though, if he gets put in jail, I'm sorry, he's going to win the presidency just off of that because that's what credibility is now for them. But like,
if they were smart, they wouldn't. I don't think they're going to put him in prison. I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to put him in prison. I don't think so. If they are smart.
But this gets another thing. Everybody who says that they're like these communists on YouTube, they're so worried about their next content creation. What about people like my friend here, Dark Stovia? Like, I don't think I'm allowed to explain your exact struggle, but the shit you described to me is very scary. The shit that Red Pagan has talked to me has been really scary. Like, fuck. Like, this is scary. You know, we need to be thinking about like how we're going to like fucking protect ourselves when fucking big fucking armored trucks come after all of us, because that is where this is going. That's exactly where this is going. It's already in some places already done that. In Portland in 2020, does anybody remember that people were being snatched in broad daylight? No, seriously, subscribe to Red Pagan, you know, like seriously, go to her channel. Like, she's the expert on this shit. And Jason Under did reports on this in 2020. It's just everybody forgets this shit, man. It's annoying. Like,
in Orange County, there's cops that are armed to the teeth. They look like fucking stormtroopers.
You know the pictures you showed me? That shit was terrifying, actually. That was scary as shit, man.
And it's what's funny is that's actually what fucking pissed off the Attack of the Venice.
Out here, we have police officers who are part of the JDL, the Jewish Defense League. That's a super ultra Zionist group. A fanatical neo-Nazi group known as the National Socialist Movement. People from both of these groups are in the police organization. They make up some of the largest clientele to Midnight Productions, which has many names. It's a human trafficking ring, and nobody wants to believe it exists because it's always homeless people that keep blowing the whistle on it and don't listen to the homeless, apparently. That's the kind of shit that's out here. You know, like, I know you know what I'm talking about because if you are in the Southwest or the West Coast, you'd be the West Coast, and so would Nicole. You know about this weird shit that goes around out here. The weird things that happen. Homeland Security teaming up with the fucking cops in Portland. Traffickers working with the cops, buying, stolen women, basically, and, from the traffickers, and making secret deals, by the way, with a very cartel they say that they're against. That happens too across the border, by the way. Like, they'll shoot you if you're an average person from Mexico just trying to get across the border. But if you're from the cartel, they let you right through. They don't tell you about that shit, but they do that. They do that in Texas too, not just Arizona. But like that is reality. But everybody wants to make content. I try to make content for the Bundes Movement channel, but it's not the best because I'm a shitty editor. I'm technologically illiterate. I have to get assistance a lot. So I just try, and some people say you make compelling videos, but I know that there's nothing is not as good as what you'll get on like Bad Mouse, fucking what's it called, Bad Mouse Productions. If you want to see a good video, by the way, about Oriental Christians, actually he did make a video about that. Then he like unlisted it for whatever reason, and then Jason criticized it, and then he tried to defend why he criticized it, and then Marxist Paul, now known as Marxism Today, criticized Badmouse for it. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Marxism Today, but I will say this about Marxism Today. Marxism Today is really good content on why Maoism is the best form of Marxism. It's good content. I will give it to that. And I do. And if Paul ever sees this, I'm sorry, Paul, that I used to talk shit about you. It's just that you're too pretty. But you're a great content creator, and I respect you. And you were absolutely right to slam Badmouse the way you did. Anyway. But the point being is, I'm angry. Oh yeah, why don't you should interview Dr. Weisfeld if you're listening to this. If you're really real, interview Dr. Weisfeld. That's what I say. I've been scared for a long time about talking shit about the content creators because of this. But that's what I rest on. Why can't people watch Dr. Weisfeld? Because he's not explaining a bunch of stupid Marxist theory. No offense to Marxist comrades. I don't mean it like that. But fuck. What the fuck? I just don't get it. It's almost like there's a mental masturbation around theory, but when you get down to somebody who's actually doing radical action, nobody gives a shit. If people care about Ukraine, they should support the anarchist group Revdia. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Are you still there, Jordan?
I'm still there.
Yeah, I don't got anything else.
All right. Well, this has been a long stream. For those of you who came on, thank you for it was sudden. I don't do these kind of streams often, but this stream has once and for all put to bed any bullshit about net controlling me. Considering
you were such a terrible opponent, bro. You didn't even watch Chaplin when I told you to 1 billion times. Oh, I must be the confident puppet master in the world.
Yeah. Yes. And for those of you who are hate watching me, please get a hobby. I know who you are, Hunky.
Oh, you mean that white aristocrat like in Arizona? Are we talking about that guy?
Yes. I'm not even gonna mention
that freaking cracker. Yeah, that cracker who is actually subliminally right wing, and yes, I know. Yes.
And possibly a closeted Nazi.
If he really was serious about Marxism, he wouldn't attack me when I'm constantly berated for being part of Antifa. But anyway.
Yeah. Again, share the videos of Dr. Weisfeld, share the playlist. The best way we could protect Dr. Weisfeld is for to have him be visible. And if anybody could actually, if possible, contact Marxist Paul and try to get him to interview him, that would be great.
Yes. If he's real, then he'll interview Dr. Weisfeld. Period. End of story.
A genocide's being broadcast, so we shouldn't fuck content creation. You're just getting this low budget, well, I don't even gonna call it low budget. It's no budget stream, which is me talking on a mic. I don't have the time nor the patience to edit a video.
Oh, support Queer Nation. Solidarity.
I guess this concludes the Angry Jewish Wookie Solidarity stream. From river to sea, Palestine will be free. Down with Zionism. Death to America.